Greetings and welcome to the Seattle Law of One podcast. Today's episode is about secret agents of love. From James Bond to Jason Bourne to Mission Impossible, the spy movie genre has proven popular with audiences all over the world, decade after decade. And in a surprising twist of their own, the entity known as Quo has encouraged us more than a few times to be what they refer to as secret agents of love. How can you be a secret agent of love, of faith, of hope, and healing? How can cleverness and creativity help you succeed in your mission if you choose to accept it? Let's find out. My name is Jonathan Tong. I'm facilitator for the Seattle Law of One study group. We can be found in the list of study groups at the LNL Research website shown on your screen. We do also have a Facebook group, and we do meet on Zoom twice a week, Tuesdays from 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific time, Saturdays 8 to 10 a.m. Pacific time. You don't have to live in Seattle or anywhere near Seattle to join our Facebook group or our Zoom sessions. Anyone who's interested and available is welcome to join. Just contact us at seattlelaw1@gmail.com to get on our mailing list. We send out emails once a week with Zoom links and information on what we're talking about that week. We do also have a YouTube channel where we keep recordings of previous podcast episodes, as well as recordings of our monthly Q&As with Jim McCarty. Just go to our YouTube channel and hit the subscribe button if you'd like to get notifications when we upload new videos, and contact us at seattlelaw1@gmail.com if you'd like to join any of our Q&A sessions with Jim. Otherwise, as mentioned, today's topic is secret agents of love. Let's go ahead and meet our secret panelists. Panelists, go ahead, let our viewers know who you are and where you're calling from, starting with Yazi.
Hi, I'm Yasi. I'm calling from Houston, and I'm excited to accept this mission, as Jonathan put it.
You're good, because it's really not that secret anymore. Thanks for joining us. It's always a joy to have you on, Yasi.
I
And
love it.
Heather?
My name is Heather Stubbs, and I'm in Seattle. Looking forward to hanging with everybody today.
Always a joy to hang out with you, Heather. Thanks for coming back. And Mort?
Hey guys, Mort. I'm in Los Angeles. Thanks for having me.
So great to have you on for the first time and hopefully not the last. Did want to remind our viewers, as always, that none of us here are experts on the law of one or the intelligence community or secret agents or anything like that. We are just normal people hanging out, talking about secret agents of love, like normal people do. Anything that we say could be wrong. You're welcome to disagree with anything or everything that any of us say. If you are already familiar with the Law of One and the entity known as Quo, you might want to skip ahead to the chapter on secret agents of love. Otherwise, for those who are new to the Law of One, you can think of the Law of One as a set of spiritual teachings based on the understanding that all is one and that one thing is love. All of the reading passages we're looking at today came to us through the process known as channeling. You can think of channeling as a form of telepathic communication between humans and entities such as angelic beings, extraterrestrial beings, spirits of deceased, higher self, inner planes entities, and so on. A channel basically serves as a mouthpiece for other entities to speak through. And in this case, those entities would appear to be of extraterrestrial origin. There are two types of channeling that have been developed by our friends at LNL Research. Trance channeling is when the channel is in a trance state, meaning they are subconscious or unconscious as if asleep, meaning they are not aware of what words are coming out of their mouth as they're saying them. This is how contact was made with the entity known as Ra back in the early 1980s. Conscious channeling is when the channel is in a conscious but deep meditative state, meaning they're only somewhat aware of what words are coming out of their mouth as they're saying them. This is how contact was made with the entity known as Quo, starting in the mid-1980s up to present day. So who is Quo? You can think of Quo as a group entity made up of three social memory complexes: Ra at sixth density, Latwi at fifth density, Hatan at fourth density. You can think of a social memory complex as a planetary consciousness, as if the entire human population of Earth was merged into one group mind. You can think of densities or dimensions as different levels of consciousness or different levels of reality, since those two things are so closely intertwined. Imagine, if you will, that the elements of earth, fire, water, and air have some form of consciousness, as many indigenous peoples have been saying they do for centuries. We call this first density. You can think of second density as the level of consciousness of plants and animals, clearly a significant quantum leap above and beyond the consciousness of what we would refer to as inanimate matter. You can think of third density as the level of consciousness of humans and cetaceans like whales and dolphins. Again, a significant quantum leap above and beyond the consciousness of plants and other animals. You can think of fourth density as the level of consciousness of the social memory complex, again, as if the entire human population of our planet was merged into one group mind. You can think of fifth and sixth and seventh densities as whatever would be comparable quantum leaps above and beyond fourth density. There is much more to be said on the subject, and if you're interested in that, check out our podcast episode on densities and dimensions. Otherwise, for now, suffice to say the entity known as Quo appears to be made up of three planetary consciousnesses: Ra at sixth density, Latui at fifth density, Haton at fourth density. First contact with with Quo was made by the LNL research channeling team back in 1986, almost 2 years after the end of the Ra contact in 1984. And they've been channeled every month since then up to present day by the LNL research channeling team. Transcripts of those sessions can be found at the LNL Research Conscious Channeling Library shown on your screen. Having said all that, let's take a look at a few passages on secret agents of love. On November 28th, 2004, Quo said, "We would encourage you to see yourself as a secret agent of fourth density at this time. Have you heard the phrase, perform random acts of kindness? This is the very essence of being a secret agent for love. The ones known as Ra long ago channeled through this instrument. When faced with a situation, ask yourself the question, where is the love in this moment? And we say to you, be an agent of that love and be an instrument of peace in all situations. There is at least a tiny peephole, a tiny window that lets in the light and the love of the one infinite creator. Do what you can to find it. Make this transition into fourth density personal." I really love that part at the end about making the transition to fourth density personal. I'm still not even sure what that means. I've read that many times over, but it's just a beautiful way to phrase it. And I like what they're saying about kindness and random acts of kindness before that. Yasi, do you see anything in here? Any thoughts, reflections to share?
Yes, many. I feel like there's a lot in this just couple of passages. First of all, to make this transition into fourth density personal, Jonathan, like you, I felt like when I do that, I feel like I'm being like overly indulgent, like self-indulgent. Sometimes I have this feeling that like all the time and effort I'm spending on trying to cultivate love and, forgiveness and getting all giddy about what I'm, accomplishing in my spiritual journey or the things I'm discovering, it feels so like, why am I thinking about myself all the time, right? It doesn't feel like service to self, but or service to others. But this sentence like kind of makes me feel good because I think when you make it personal, you're actually doing what you're talking about here, which is, you're becoming that agent of love. And I know you're going to
Sure.
unpack this more and more in the other passages, but um, I think that kind of gives you that leeway, like make it personal because that's where it starts, and I mean, I feel like I'm not going to feel as bad about it now. Or as selfish, as selfish about
Whatever
it.
happens, I don't care. Yeah. Yeah.
And then just quickly, I when I read this, I thought of this story that um, a friend of mine who's a scientist was saying that she goes into these science meetings all the time, and everyone's so serious, because it's like science, and science is serious. And she said, I decided that I'm going to try this thing. And I told everybody about it. I said, I'm going to go in and we're going to smile. We're just going to smile. Like, we're still going to discuss the same things we were going to talk about. Like, nothing is changing in the agenda, but we're just going in. And she was saying this to a few of the people that she shared her thoughts with. We're just going to go into the meetings and just smile and see what that does. And she said, they did this for a few meetings and it was so interesting that just like going in there and smiling. First of all, people can't help but smile back. It's just a thing that I don't know, there's a funny physics to that. But everybody would kind of smile back. And then she said you could feel just the energy of the room lifting. It was just lighter. The energy was lighter. Again, they were doing the same thing they were going to do anyway. And to me, that's a good example of like, being that, finding that little secret thing that you're doing in that moment, that little window you're finding. Like you're just smiling, right? But you're creating and
Yeah.
encouraging this love to come through.
Well, and what a great experiment to try it out. It's a great example of the scientific American method of testing a hypothesis and
That's true.
observing and looking at the results. Super great story. Appreciate your sharing that. Love that. Heather, any thoughts? Anything to add?
Yeah, I like what Yassi was saying about just the smile. When you talk about, little acts of kindness, just a smile. I think this passage especially points to, you know, what could those little acts of kindness be, and making it personal. So it could even be something like, letting somebody in traffic like go in front of you, which can often be hard sometimes. And you're like, I'm doing an act of kindness here, okay? I'm trying to do something nice here, but yeah, I like the idea of kind of trying to make it personal. I also like the idea of, being a secret agent. Like, isn't that fun? It kind of makes it like what you're doing is on the down low. So you're kind of like creeping in with like this little bit of light. So yeah, I love
That's
it
how
all.
I was thinking about it, and I find that as interesting and fun as you do. And yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I really appreciate it. I think as you and Yassi were talking, I was thinking that, okay, maybe what they mean by making fourth density personal is that fourth density is referred to as the density of love, for the density of love and understanding, like unconditional love. And so, in terms of making it personal, yeah, I think the more you can take that seriously and care about it and try on the inside to open your heart to be more loving and more kind as you're talking about. Yeah, that is. It's not selfish because you're helping the world by being a better person yourself, I think. I don't know. What do you think? Mort, any thoughts on this?
Yeah, that point specifically is really interesting to me because I agree it can feel really indulgent, and I think if we're working within the law of one framework of we're almost, it's almost like we're collecting experiences for the creator or having these experiences on the behalf of the creator. I've heard it said in other tenets that God loves experience. That's why God's made infinite experiences. So like God is interested to see this experiment of like us personally raising our quote unquote vibration, to use the kind of like new agey term, I think, and for me that's been a really beautiful experience. I'm sober, which is I always, that's how I always introduce myself to people, but that's relevant here. Like so I think I've like have gone through deep periods of kind of really dark depression and stuff, whatever, which is usually related to substance, it goes hand in hand in substance abuse. And then the more I practice the spiritual things, the more I do my consciousness kind of raises a little bit, and it makes me a better, just naturally a better husband, friend, worker, whatever it is that I'm trying to do. I think that stuff can't help but seep through. And then I think about this stuff because I too often feel like, how selfish am I being here? I think people on the service to others path generally we tend to be more towards like the self-sacrificing martyr, I never did enough people, which is also, in my opinion, it's judgmental, and I don't think it's actually my business, you know? And
Yeah.
I say that because like I get self-critical and self-obsessed all the time, So I'm just trying to like speak in ways and learn to think about things in ways that are like more positive and less judgmental, because I know that shame and judgment has never helped me, actually. Um, so, and then a couple other things, and feel free to cut me off. But the secret agent thing, maybe think of this thing I heard in recovery. It's definitely not mine, but there a game you can play where you do something nice for someone and you don't tell them, they don't find out, and you get a point. And then if they do find out, you lose a point. And then if you ever tell anyone, you lose all the points that you've
Whoa.
created. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
So full on secret agent gamifying situation.
Yeah.
That's really cool. I love that.
And then
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that's what they meant by performing random acts of kindness, meaning doing things without expecting to be acknowledged or thanked or recognized.
yeah. But even like to me, the kind of the interesting part of it is trying to do it without them even finding out. So it's not just like give somebody $5 if they ask for money, which is also amazing. And I'd say a
Right.
random act of kindness, but this like there's almost like kind of a wondrous aspect of it if you can get somebody to be like, wait, somebody did something nice for me and didn't, I don't even know who did it, you know?
Yeah.
Because it's so easy. I so want to be like Mr. Spiritual, be seen as like, you know, real sweetie all the time, you know? So it's sort of interesting. Um,
For sure. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's something that all of us are grappling with in our own way, on our own level. I think as you were talking, I was reminded about, we've talked a lot about kindness here. And before we started recording, we were talking about how crazy and wonky the world is these days. And it seems that there are so many acts of overt, blatant cruelty being inflicted on people. I think it's a good reminder that this is third density is the density of choice, and it is more or less over. We are in the very beginning stages of fourth density, so things are only becoming more and more polarized as people are being confronted with opportunities to choose between whether you want to be kind to somebody else or whether you want to be cruel to somebody else, or whether you want to support acts of kindness or support acts of cruelty. And again, I mean, it's not for me or anyone else here to tell them what they should do, but I think that is kind of what everyone is being called to do in their own way.
yeah, and I think it's interesting we're talking about like the violence that we're seeing, the unrest, the oppression, the all that stuff. It's like what's also interesting about it to me is that it has a brighter and brighter light shown on it than ever before. And that's like a continued evolution, right? It's like why people protested in Vietnam against Vietnam because of the film they saw, you know, and now all that's being piped into your so it is like it's not necessarily that I don't think that we're more violent than we ever have been. It's that we're like you're saying being tasked to have an opinion about it or make a decision about it or whatever our response is to it, which is sort of fascinating.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
I
Oh,
call it like that. I think
anyone else have any other thoughts on this passage before we look at another passage?
I th wow, that was amazing just to listen to you guys and more. Thank you so much for sharing something so personal and vulnerable. I feel like that is a lot of love. Like being that vulnerable
Yeah.
equals love. I think there's one sentence in here, like I said, this is like these are such rich passages, but that sentence of when faced with a situation, ask yourself, where's the love in this moment? Like, I think we maybe overlook that, the significance of that. It's not an easy thing. This idea of every time you're in a particular moment, especially we're thinking the more difficult ones, where is the love? You know, the moment contains love. It's an interesting thought experiment to do when you're in it because sometimes it's easy for even a loving person to be angry or scared or all the other emotions and forget that there is always love in the moment. And I feel like being a secret agent also sometimes can mean if you can't see the love in the moment or nobody's exhibiting the love in the moment, like you can be the love in the moment. You know, you can just kind of hold that core vibrating out knowing that it's always there, it's always accessible, even if everybody's forgotten it.
Yeah, what a beautiful way to say that. And
Yeah.
somebody just said that in our most recent Zoom session. Yeah, if you can't find the love in someone else or in a situation, then be the love. And I think that's a beautiful way to look at it.
can
Not easy, but yeah.
Yeah.
I have two. I'm going to try and keep it quick and please I'll just gab. So cut me off whenever. But I was thinking about this how like we because we're human beings when we're talking about the moment, right? Usually that means like my interaction with other people or watching other people do things, right? We get so obsessed with human behavior because we're humans and it seems so important to us that that's 0.0000001% of all of existence. So like there's always even if there's always like a tree around or like a sunshine or even rain or whatever and there's always the how do we say this like
I love that.
the opportunity for free will which in itself is loving even if the free will that's being performed doesn't seem loving
Mm.
you know.
Love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I want to tell another story real quick where I sound like a saint. So I'm going to do a stand-up show, and I asked to be of service. And before I went, and I showed up and I did the set, and I'm doing it, and I'm looking outside. It's a small little spot, and there's a guy outside, and he's banging on the door, and he comes in and he's like yelling, and they kind of push him out, and I got off stage, and I'm real pissed. I'm really angry because it's like a vulnerable thing to have that interrupted, you know. And two people are outside like trying to get him to leave, and I go outside literally in my head like I'm gonna stop this person, like even if it means like not beat him up but like physically restrain him or whatever. It's what I was thinking. And I went out there and they were about to call the police on this guy, and I saw he was really drunk, and I was like, oh, that's me 15 years ago. And I was like, hey man, can I talk to you a second? And I just like walked him down the street, and we walked, and I was like, what's going on? And he just told me, and he turned out he was a poet. He thought it was an open mic night. He wanted to show up. He was an immigrant. He was like from Mexico. He'd taken the bus there from Anaheim. He'd gotten drunk on the bus, and we went and sat down, and he had some coffee or something, and he was like kind of a jerk. You know how drunk people, like, he'd be really nice and then get mad at me for no reason and yell at somebody walking down the street, you know? But it was like totally the opportunity to be of service that I asked for. And of course, what I wanted to do was like kill on the show. You know what I mean? I wanted to be of service by being the funniest person that ever lived, but it was a really beautiful experience that I was gifted.
Wow.
Wow.
What a great story. What a great
Yeah.
experience. Yeah. And what a great example of what we've been talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a great
If
guy.
only he didn't know it was you, then he could have got tons of extra points in that game. You would have killed it.
I have like the anonymous mask on the whole time.
Yeah, there you go. Let's take a look at another passage, shall we? This one is from September 9th, 2023, not that long ago. And Quo said, so my friends, we would close this instrument by reminding each that it is an incorrect perception to look at this day's headlines and the great disharmony in the world and feel too small or too insignificant to have effect. My friends, we wish to remind you that each of you are agents for and of love. And as you forgive yourselves and you forgive others and you find the Creator in all things, you are affecting the world mightily, perhaps even more strongly than the recent most news of what the latest dictator in your world is up to in their work of polarity. And the more that your open heart links with other open hearts, the greater the magic of healing and synchronicity. And that property which is greater than the sum of the parts may manifest, and wonders and miracles may abound. Yeah, beautiful passage that I think echoes what we were just saying a little while ago, that um, if you really want to change the outer world, the best way to do that is probably to change your inner world. And it's not selfish to work on being more open-hearted and to be more loving and forgiving. That's a great way to be of service. Heather, any thoughts on this passage?
I love that it's, focused on forgiveness. And I think that the forgiveness, when I kind of tap into that, for me, that's more like a release of resistance. So, whatever we're looking at, like on the news or in the headlines or whatever, to just kind of release resistance to that and forgive or kind of relax and accept that, all is well. Everything is as it should be. Um, but yeah, beautiful reminder of, opening our hearts again. I love it how you've got it highlighted. The more you open, the heart links with other open hearts. And so, once you start releasing resistance, raising your vibration, accepting and loving, then others do as well. So really beautiful.
Yeah, and like more or less everything else in the law of one, you're not going to find like scientific evidence that that's happening. You kind of have to take it on faith. And yet it is a beautiful thing. And I do believe that when one person opens their heart, somewhere on some metaphysical level, it triggers others to be able to open their hearts as well. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's a beautiful, encouraging thing. Mark, any thoughts on anything here?
Yeah, I love what you said, Heather, about it's almost like the resistance is the problem, and for me, it's like the resistance is very usually really subconscious, and I don't even realize that's what's causing the pain. And so that's why I think meditation is good. It helps me to get like I can sometimes get calm enough in order to see where the resistance is and experiment with different ways of letting go. Yeah, I mean, the more your open heart links with other open hearts, the greater the magic of healing and synchronicity. I just want to say that. I mean, it's so fascinating me. It's all spiritual, right? So it's like, and by that I mean unseen. I think we can describe spiritual in a lot of different ways, but for me, that's sort of what that means in this context. And like, um, what does it mean to open one's heart? What does that mean? It's an expression of experience that we've all had or that we're trying to attempt to have. And what are there are consequences and sacrifices of opening one's heart, and but then also obviously like a much higher, greater healing that is, I would say, often this some of the beautiful results of which are like synchronicity and I guess healing too. So yeah, just beautiful.
Yeah, it reminds me, as you were speaking, like, what do we mean when we say open your heart? I've used that phrase so many times on this podcast, and we've seen it so many times in different channeling sessions. I'm not sure if I ever really sat down and really thought what exactly that means. Do you have an idea more, like what opening your heart means to you?
Yeah, man. I think it's this profound metaphor for something that is both larger than we can imagine and exists within us and has all these different rooms and hallways and experiences within itself. Our heart, I think, is a muscle, like a spiritual muscle that processes things through love. And love, I don't just mean like the airy fairy like hugs and kisses all the time. Sometimes love is like facing something really scary or being really honest when you don't want to be scared. And I'm just going to point to another thing that is very much that is, or not very much, but it's not necessarily law of one. But there's a book called Sermon on the Mount by Emmett Fox, who's like this old spiritual leader guy. But it's really wild because it says that the Bible is in its entirety metaphors for consciousness, and that anytime they say the word heart, they mean subconscious mind, like what we would call subconscious mind, which I know is almost like, it's not antithetical, but it's a very different framework. But it talks about when it says like my father's house, and like even in the law of one stuff, when it says like inner and outer, what does it say about the aspects of the heart that are like
Courtyard, inner
yeah,
courtyard.
exactly. Right. Like that's a metaphor for an experience you can have when you go deeply into the heart. You can find the courtyard. And then the Sermon on the Mount thing has like these different expressions about what these like parables in the Bible say about the heart, but they're like
Interesting.
there's these aspects of ourselves that have been like mapped and traveled before by other people who've gone into these deep places and come back out and been like, it's like a courtyard kind of, you know.
Yeah.
uh, uh,
Yeah, that's a great example. Thank you
Yeah.
for sharing that. And the
yeah,
name of that book again was Sermon on the
that's
Mount.
called Sermon on the Mount. Yeah, it's pretty
Do you
wild.
remember the author's
I
name?
think it's Emmett Fox is the guy's
Oh,
name,
you. Yeah.
who apparently sold out like Madison Square Garden as a spiritual speaker like in his time, and but he's kind of a little bit forgotten. I don't know. Anyway,
Is he still alive?
no, he'd be like 200, I think, which would be pretty
Oh,
cool.
okay.
Then you'd really believe it. You'd be like, damn.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Yeah, thanks for sharing that. Oh, what do you think, Yasi? Any thoughts on that or anything?
Wow. More, you have such a beautiful way of visually painting things, which is really, really amazing. I love that. I love thinking about what an open heart means. And actually, what I was going to speak to when I read this passage was um, it feels like some of these things that they're asking us to do are passive things, like something bad is going on in the world. That dictator is doing something. Like we can talk about what's happening topically now, there's something awful going on in the world, and it feels like the actionable things are like posting on social media or like getting angry, getting frustrated, calling out things, marching, all these kinds of action things. But when I think about the true effect that we can have in moments where we're pretty helpless and these things are bigger than us, it comes to these kinds of like what seem like passive things and yet what take so much more work. Like forgiveness of self, so much work. Opening the heart, so much work. This is way harder than it sounds. And I think that a lot of us don't really take the time to go down that path and do that work, which is, in my opinion, way more influential. And I think that if we did that, if we just even if we think we're too small, we realize that it's in that work that the effects are happening. And when I think of open heart, like you're talking about the house in the courtyard, I imagine it as like light and airy, and the sun's shining through, and the leaves are like glimmering. Like it feels like a lot of the stuff that could make it obstructed or removed. And so, like, forgiveness removes the shame, removes the guilt, like self-love clears some of the traumas, like all that stuff kind of opens the house, opens the courtyard. And from there, I think that amplification of like light and energy really has its effect. So I love
Nice.
that.
Yeah.
Well said.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
and we've been told so many times that that was the main reason that wanderers or souls from higher densities came to incarnate on Third Earth, specifically to lighten energies. And that's by doing all those things I think that we've been talking about, including the open heart. I think I was remembering the heart chakra, and I was remembering the idea of how energy, universal energy, whether it's called prana or intelligent energy or love or light or chi or whatever, that energy flows upward through the earth into our energy body through the root chakra and sacral chakra and solar plexus chakra before it gets to the heart chakra. So I guess I was thinking, it just occurred to me now that, yeah, open heart, I think, is more or less about, for me at least, unblocking those lower energy centers so you can get the full flow of that energy into your heart. And if your heart is open, then yeah, the times that I have felt that my heart was open, yeah, I just felt like I there was no room for hate in there. There was
Mm.
no room for hard feelings. It was just all I could feel was love and unconditional love. I don't feel that all the time, but I know when I have experienced it, I guess that's what I was thinking of is the open heart.
Can
Yeah,
I,
yeah, go ahead.
sorry, real quick, I just want to pop, yeah, I love what you were saying, Assi, and I thinking about like sort of the passive versus the active thing. I
Yeah.
think that some people are called to take very big action in the world. And when those people do these things first, or in tandem with that, that's when we get like Martin
Yes,
Luther King. That's when we get like
definitely.
Muhammad Khan. That's when we get like
So true.
Muhammad Ali. It's like,
Yeah.
and I think you exactly like you're saying, like when the heart energy comes through, having done these things, then no matter what you're doing, it's going to be healing, and especially if your karma is to bring big change. But even if you are posting, or if you are, I just think with these things, it has when you're called to take action, can have more of a healing
I
effect.
love that. I love
In
that.
my theory.
That's good. So
Yeah,
true.
and I know Quo has said many times that things and people that seem to be a big deal in space-time or the visible world as we know it aren't necessarily so in time, space, or the metaphysical world, and vice versa. Things that seem insignificant in space-time can be very significant, have a lot of weight in time, space, depending on their intentions, I think. That's what I was appreciating about the second paragraph. They were saying, as you forgive yourself and others, find the Creator in all things, you're affecting the world mightily, perhaps even more strongly than the recent most news of what the latest dictator in your world is up to in their work of polarity. It's so easy these days to feel powerless to do anything to change what seems to be like overtly negative things happening in the world. And it's easy to see people in positions of political power as having all the power over, more or less everyone else. But I find that passage super inspiring in realizing that, yeah, somebody who has maybe been traumatized by abusive parents or abusive partners are able to heal from that and forgive that person to get to that point. They're probably changing the world more than, the most powerful dictator in so many ways. I find that super inspiring and uplifting.
I love it. Me too.
Anybody have any other thoughts on this passage before we change topics?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. The idea of forgiving oneself is such a like a lifelong journey, I think. Or, and maybe it doesn't have to be. I mean, I think when you sort of understand this, if this all is an illusion, right? In some capacity, it is the paradox of it is both real and also, but ultimately it is a dream that drifts away, exactly like the dream you had last night is gone. That there is nothing to forgive, and that because it's all fine, and that I have the most effect on myself through my consciousness, my thoughts. That's why like forgiving oneself is the most important thing, because like I'll hurt myself more than anyone else will because I'm
Me
with myself all the time.
too.
So like if I can learn to be loving to myself, it's the most powerful. It has the I'm the person I have the most effect on in a way.
Yeah,
Agreed.
agreed.
Yeah, huge point that cannot be overestimated. I have heard so many people say they find it really easy to forgive others. It's forgiving themselves that they find really
Yeah,
difficult.
and for what? Like, what did you know what I mean? Like, there's people out here going nuts, And I'm like, my tone was weird, so I beat myself up for a week. Like, relaxed,
Yeah,
And I didn't do something perfectly. Like,
yeah.
chill.
I'm the same, more. I completely feel you. Like regret and guilt and self-forgiveness are definitely lessons I'm here to learn. And for exactly what you said, like they just this pile up of these little
Yeah,
like steps. Like
yeah,
nothing ever that egregious, but it's
yeah.
just like
And
it's
like,
become so big.
do I believe that I am like a ray of sunlight given brought here by God to just go like me, and if so, then like I can't really screw it up at all.
Oh, totally.
Good
I
You
know.
point.
know?
I'm not worthy. Like,
Yeah.
But you can't be unworthy, right? That's the thing. It's
yeah,
like
yeah.
there's
Yeah, it's
nothing
like,
you
but
can
you get
do.
that in your head, and especially if you're like us and you're trying to be scholarly about it, like you understand the theory of that, you talk about illusion, but like for that to go from your head to a true faith and belief in the heart, that's the journey, I think, right? It's easy to get that in our minds
For
and
sure.
believe it even.
Yeah, Quo has said many times that pretty much everyone here came here to learn how to balance energies of love and wisdom and in some cases power. And I mean, everything you're talking about, I think, is finding that balance between forgiving others and forgiving yourself.
And on
And
this
yeah,
journey, it's like it really I see it now looking back. Like I was it feels like this, but then when you look back, it's like this. So I'm like having practiced this stuff for a while now, whatever, I'm generally so much kinder to myself. And it's like, and then I'll do something like I'll stop doing some behavior. It'll be an addictive behavior for me. I'll stop it, and then I'll like it'll be really really hard, and then I'll level up, and then I'll be start being a lot kinder to myself, and then I'll take a dip where I'll like start being mean again, and then I'll level up, but then I'm like higher than I was before. So it's like
Yeah,
this very kind of interesting non-linear. It's
totally.
also like aging makes it easier. I think you're like
Well,
chill,
because you have
relax.
experience now. It is like the path that you describe, we've all been on and are on, and we understand exactly what you're saying. It's like that weird map that you talked about that people go and undertake, and then they come back and they talk about it. And like the next time someone else is on that journey, they know exactly what that person is talking about. Like I was there in that ethereal place that you're describing that you can't get to until you do the work.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
yeah, makes
Yeah.
sense.
And there are people who their lives that like they get meaner and meaner and meaner and meaner to themselves.
Yeah.
And that's when you find people who I think's hearts are really, really shut down and really, really embittered. And I'm just really grateful for this stuff and all manner of spiritual exercises, practices, because I think I'm like maturing in a healthier way. And I'm so, so, so grateful for that.
and
It's
I think
so
it's a really good reminder of how being part of a group, whether it's a Law of One study group or some other group or whatever, I think people can be mirrors to each other and people can support each other and help each other out when somebody's being like really hard on themselves or hard on somebody
Mm.
else. So did
Good
want to
point.
remind our viewers there's lots of great Law of One study groups out there. Just go to L&L Research, hit the Connect tab at top, scroll down to connect and study groups and take a look, see if there's a group that you vibe with, either meeting online or in person. Heather, did you have anything you wanted to add before we change topics? Change
No, I think I'm good.
sounds good.
Yeah.
Well, let's go ahead and take a look at a passage on secret agents of light. On April 22nd, 2007, Quo said, reflect upon those moments that come to you where you feel that something important or momentous has occurred in a vibrational way rather than a verbal or conscious way. When you sense these thoughts, take the time to move into them more deeply, to rejoice in the gift of the present moment, and to use that moment of inspiration further to dedicate yourself to the love and light of the one Creator and to being agents for that love and that light. Yeah, that part in the first paragraph, I think, really kind of echoes what we were talking about before of things happening in a vibrational way rather than a verbal or conscious way. I'm guessing everyone has had some kind of experience where they felt there was something really special in a way that was hard to quantify or to put your finger on. But yeah, yeah, I really love that. Mort, any thoughts, reflections on anything here?
I had like an enlightenment event one time, is how I describe it. Which apparent I've also heard I've like I'll just say what happened. I was with a friend of mine. She's this very platonic friend. She's like she believes in everything. You know what I mean? People would consider her like out there, you know? Not us, but other people. And we had a fight and it was about religion interestingly, and then we kind of we kind of made up whatever, just like kind of forgave each other, and then I was just compelled to stare into her eyes for like 20 minutes without talking, and I was like elevated to this place where, and it lasted for about 2.5 hours, where I knew in like my heart was entirely open. I knew that all things were one. I had like a profound compassion for I wept out of compassion for myself. Like it was, I really feel like somehow my ego kind of dissipated, and I have a serious ego. And it reassembled afterwards. So I did not like stay there, but I feel like I did get a window. And I think she was doing, who knows, there's some kind of metaphysical reason for this. She had probably done a lot of clearing that helped me like run some kind of energy through guy gazing. I don't even know. But that was a situation where I was like rocketed into what this is talking about, where it's like a momentous thing occurred in a vibrational way, right? And apparently that's kind of like a dime a dozen. Like there are a lot of people that have had those. And the question is like, how do you integrate that in your normal life? I'm very grateful to have had that experience. And again, it's interesting because when we talk about spiritual things, we use these words because they describe things that we can't like touch. So what is that, right? It's we all, how do you, I like the reflect. I think that's so great. I guess it gives you what to do here. Rejoice in the gift. Like gratitude is extremely helpful for me for those experiences. And also there's something about feeling my inner body and then trying to look very deeply from a place of stillness. That was the thing about this experience, is like there was profound stillness, which was like just exclusively peace. And that it was very clear that that was really not only the foundational aspect of being alive, but everything is made up of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow, I love
And
that.
that is a profound revelation. I have felt that and experienced it, but I think, like you were suggesting, it was a fleeting moment. You don't hold that
Yeah.
feeling for long, and it can be quite a while before you experience it
But
again.
then totally, but and then I think that like in the same way there are people who can just like dunk a basketball, right? Like there are people who have had these experiences and they last 10 years, or people who their entire lifetime here is like that, I think.
Right.
And so those people come back to us, your Jesuses, your Allahs or whatever, and like, hey, relax. Like it's well, you're not seeing the full thing here, you know?
Well, like everything else, the more you do it, the more comfortable you get with it, the more familiar it becomes. But it can take a while for sure.
Yeah.
Yasi, any thoughts, reflections on anything here?
I was like, I wanted to tell more. Were mushrooms involved?
Yeah. No. I was like long time
I'm
sober.
I'm just kidding. That sounds amazing. That sounds so good. I feel like the experience that you just described is what I was talking about earlier about how like it goes from the head to like the that understanding, that heart understanding that you can't explain with like even words really. You try, but um what that gives you, and I've had my own, nothing like that significantly like one time thing, but peppered throughout all these years of this journey, I've had things like magical things, synchronous things, like you said, like small little connections to that feeling of stillness happen. And not to mention the way that the path has unfolded and unfolded and unfolded and like presented the next thing and presented the next lesson, all these things that are ethereal and luminous, but you can't really explain them to anyone unless they've also been down
Mm,
these paths. I feel like what this has given me is a kind of, I hate to use the word because it's so charged, but faith. I think that it's given me like faith and stability and groundedness in my core, in that I'm aligned to and connected to this greater thing, and I believe it, and I believe it because of evidential experiences and these little magical moments. Like they're so exciting, and I get so excited when I have these pockets of time that are synchronous and all these tiny little scintillating things are happening. But also, what it does, it makes me feel like this is real. Like, this is real. And then when I come to connect with others or talk about it, I feel like I'm coming from a place of, stability. Like I'm really connected to it. And I love it for that.
mm,
Yeah, I appreciate your bringing the word faith in because that word has been used so many times. It is said so often in channeling sessions. And since Carla and Jim were or are still such devout Christians, yeah, I think it's really easily for folks who are not necessarily of the Christian faith to see faith as a pretty loaded word with lots of other baggage and connotations that are not necessarily positive. But if I understand correctly, I mean, when they use the word faith in channeling sessions, it just refers to the knowledge or understanding that all is well and all will be well in spite of all or any appearances to the contrary. And that I think is it's a good thing. It is a worthy attitude or mind state or feeling in the heart to strive for sure. You have any thoughts on that, Heather, or anything else from this passage?
Yeah, no, I like that you brought faith into this as well, Yasi. And when they say rejoice in the gift of the present moment, right? It's like having faith in that present moment that all is well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
That's
you
a great reminder that these incarnations are like closed book tests. We knew already before we incarnated that all was one and that everyone else is just a reflection of yourself and creator. But it's not so obvious in third density. And it takes a lot of faith, I think, to really come to that place for sure.
Yeah.
We're going to say something, Yasi. Did I cut you off?
Well, no, you didn't cut me off. I just think that also like faith in your intuition, faith in all the big things, but also faith in like the words that your intuition is trying to speak to you in. You start to just trust it more and trust it more, and it just becomes more visible to you in an invisible way. But I think that's the other side of faith is just you. It's your intuitive voice. Exactly. Calling back from, your higher self and the inner planes. And that part's exciting too.
mm.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anybody else have any thoughts on this passage before we look at something else?
I'll say real quick on the mushrooms thing. If you would have seen me, you would have been like, "That's the most on mushrooms person I've ever seen."
Totally. Like
Like
your
I,
description was like,
dude, like spirals in my eye. My friend, she just like she had a t-shirt that was on the bed, and I was like, it had a graphic on it, and I couldn't stop like
that's
touching it and
amazing.
looking at it, and the experience was that I would have been just as happy to like a pile of trash was just as beautiful as a sunset. It was
Oh,
no different because all of them were made up of the same thing, and like that's how God sees us, I think.
that's so
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, what a beautiful experience. And I mean, as Quo has said, there's nothing you can experience on mushrooms or other plant medicines that you couldn't do without. It's just
Yeah.
it's not
Much harder.
necessarily to have that experience
Uh,
otherwise.
Yeah, and it happened in Silver Lake, California, which is the least spiritual place on the planet. So that's no, just
I
kidding.
forget what did you say was the catalyst for that? What brought that about for you?
I think it was eye gazing. It was with this very spiritual friend of mine.
wow,
Wow.
that's
And
so
I've
cool.
talked to different people about like I had another experience one time in meditation where I just didn't really have to breathe very much, which I know sounds weird. I don't know if you guys, but then there was a guy who was like a very experienced adept meditator, and he said that I sort of happened into like a specific kind of meditation that can like does this like biofeedback thing that where you can like hear your own heartbeat and slow down your metabolism and stuff. So
Have
Yeah,
you
I've
tried
heard
it again? Like
y-
tried eye gazing like that again? And
yeah, one time I had another kind of a weird nothing like that. This one was almost a little bit scary. It was like the person's face was kind of changing, which reminds me of that episode you guys did about where you talked about looking in the in the mirror. Yeah.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah, it
Yeah.
reminds me very much of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that
wow.
what it felt like at that point where the person's face
Yeah, and
was sort of
it's so when it's happening, it's so bizarre because it's you can describe it, but then when you experience it, it's just like I don't know. It is like it's like watching. You guys know the movie Teen Wolf? It's like watching a like watching a. It's like watching in a movie where something changes when it shouldn't be or something.
Shape
I don't know.
shifting, shape shifting.
Yeah, yeah,
It's kind of
eyes
like,
are really private. I mean, I do believe they are indeed the windows to the soul. So I don't feel comfortable looking into anybody's eyes for more than like a second or two. And I certainly wouldn't feel comfortable having somebody stare into my eyes for 20 fucking minutes. That's
yeah,
insane. Yeah.
that might mean you have to try it now, John.
yeah.
I'm
Totally.
pretty sure
You
not.
need to get like a you need a white witch in your life. That's
I can't
that's
even look in the mirror for more than a minute.
you start
That's
there.
as much of me as I want to
Do
see.
some affirmations while you're at it too.
Yeah. I need to put some more positive sticky notes in the
Yeah.
mirror. Loving the conversation. Anybody have anything they want to add before we move to another passage? Cool. Well, let's take a look at a passage on agents of healing. On May 16th, 2002, Quo said, "All you need to be concerned with is allowing yourself to ever more truly and deeply, sorry, all you need to be concerned with is allowing yourself to be ever more truly and deeply yourself, and in that comfort of self, to bless and welcome and open to the infinite energy of the one creator as it flows through from limitless white light of the great original logos. Once that energy has begun, the energy itself, as it circulates, rotates, and spins, begins to bring naturally to the self those opportunities for outer service that one has planned aforetimes for the time when spirit within was mature enough to take it up. We may suggest that there are many opportunities to heal, to be a healer, to be an agent of healing energy, and that this healing has many avenues as there are personalities. It is as though each of you were as the stained glass of a rich and
Mm.
beautiful design. All those colors within the window that you are your very own. No one else has selected the way you move energy through your energy body. And this means that you are creating a constant tapestry of color and music that is the personal signature of yourself in this energy vortex as it moves through the cosmic energy vortexes that are figured forth in the outer world by your planets and your stars, moves you along with the flow that you and your guidance created at the beginning of that web of energy that is called a given incarnation. I always enjoy the stained glass imagery. They've used that metaphor several times, and I really love the idea that all of us are receiving the same sunlight from the same sun, but each of us is like a different stained glass window that kind of distorts that energy in our own way as it passes through our own energy fields. And I just think that's a beautiful thing. And to tie it into healing, to realize that there's lots of different types of healing. Healing comes in many different forms. I just find that, again, like everything else here, super inspiring. Uh, uh, Yasi, any thoughts on this passage?
I think these passages are some of the most beautifully worded passages I've read in a long time. They're just so like pretty. Um, yes, healing. So it's talking basically about healing and the idea of healing, which I appreciate so much. And a lot of it I understood through the law of one is that you are never the healer. You're always kind of a conduit, and you allow healing to occur through just the flow of the creative energy, And even if you're attempting to heal someone, you're basically just there holding that space and allowing the passage of that energy so that that person can heal themselves, basically. And so, like, it's puts the onus on a healer a big time to, if they're really going to go out there and be a healer, is to make sure that they're at their most centeredness and that they've done a lot of that work themselves, that there aren't that many blockages that they haven't dealt with, because the more that you're that way, the more you're obstructing whatever energy should be passing and helping others. And even if you're just a passive healer, just walking around. But what I think is really interesting is that first sentence that says, all you need to be concerned with is allowing yourself to be ever more truly and deeply yourself. It's so funny because it's like that's one of the hardest things in the world. Like,
Yeah.
all you need to be concerned with is the hardest thing in the world, which is
World.
just be yourself and like accept yourself, and you don't need to do anything else. Just this is who you are and you're beautiful and all your like permutations and you're just a lovely dance and a beautiful song. Coming to that acceptance and really embodying it and feeling it again, like journey of a lifetime, but there truly is something I think so beautiful that happens the more you come into yourself and you become comfortable with exactly who you are. You kind of do become like almost like a healing energy force. I think when you walk around, people are almost inspired by that kind of authenticity. They're inspired by just seeing you be you and that you could be anything. Like, it's not that you're perfect, it's just that you're comfortably you. And I think that that's truly something to aspire to. And I'm sure we're all on that journey.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
somebody here said something not too long back about being able to look at others and see others as creator sees them. And that's what I was thinking of as you were speaking. I was thinking of that stained glass window and how it's been said many times that each of us is unique. There's never been anyone like you before. There never will be one after. And that maybe we like some people more than others. Maybe we think some stained glass windows are more beautiful than others. But in creator's eye, they're all beautiful. There is not a single person on this planet who is so despicable, so unlovable that creator does not love them for who they are. And again, it's another beautiful thing that I'm aspiring to it. I'm trying to do that, to see everybody that way every day.
Oh, yeah,
As you
definitely.
said, it's the journey of a lifetime and probably quite a few lifetimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Heather, anything to add? Any thoughts,
I like
reflections?
the way Yasi, you pointed out that first sentence is like the most challenging out of everything. All you need to be concerned with is allowing yourself to be ever more truly and deeply yourself. Yeah, that's so easy. That's all you got to do. But yeah, it is the most challenging aspect, I think, of, what we're doing here. I like the part where they say no one else has selected the way that you move energy through your energy body. That's like it's like the dancer that dances. Nobody dances wrong. You can't dance wrong. It's all energy, expressing itself through you. So yeah, beautiful.
I love that.
It's another reminder that Quo has said many, many, many times that each of us was creator's way of learning more about itself.
Oh,
So that means every single person who's ever been on Earth, all 8 billion souls incarnated at this time, we are all sparks of the creator sent out to learn and experience as much as we can so that we can come back to creator and share that. And creator can be infinite intelligence. Intelligent infinity can be even more intelligent and more wise. That's just super cosmic, super cool. What do you think? Martin, any thoughts on anything here?
Yeah, this is really first of all, yeah, I agree with what Yazi said. This is gorgeous. I want this tattooed on my whole back. Like this is the most stunning. It's so beautiful, and I love what we're saying too about, to me it reminds me of what we were saying about resistance, because it's like okay, so you have to allow yourself. That means you are naturally yourself, right? But if I'm not being myself, then I'm resisting being my true deep self. And I think that resistance is very learned, like a kid in a sandbox is like, I made a sandcastle, and you're like, that's a mound of sand is all that is. And their kid's like, I'm a genius, and you're like, you keep at it, man, this is great. Like that's, I really think
That's so
that's
true.
who we are, is we delight in the simple act of existence. And so, and I really love this thing about, once that energy has begun, the energy itself, as it circulates, rotates, and spins, begins to bring naturally to the self those opportunities for outer service. So I don't even have to do anything. The energy itself is doing it. I just have to watch, which is good for me because I'm an overthinker. So I can really I can plan things, and then I'll miss the thing that's directly in front of me because I'm not being present. Yeah, man, this whole thing.
Yeah.
No one, yeah.
Totally bored. And to your point, like I love that you use the word resistance, because when I read this, I wrote down the word flow. And like that's another thing that we're constantly aspiring to, is just to allow ourselves to be in flow. The word flow gets thrown around a lot too, but that last paragraph that's kind of talking about your unique little vortex of energy when you stop resisting it and allow it to flow, it like hooks up with the greater like energy of the cosmos, and then it's all just this like one big river of energy. I feel like that's visually so incredible. Just when you stop resisting and you just allow your energy, it like goes and connects to this like whole greater energy that's out there. And then that's when the basically universe is like putting in front of you what's meant to be in
Mm.
front of you all along. I love that
Yeah.
visually.
Yeah, the in Hindu, the Atman and the Brahman, like the
Mm,
internal and the external in meeting. Yeah.
totally. That's a good example. I
Yeah, I
love
like
that.
the use of the word resistance. I don't think it's one that I've really used or thought of in spiritual terms. But yeah, I think that really resonates with a lot of truth to me. And I think maybe goes back to what I was talking about with energy centers and blocking flow. Resistance, I think, would tend to contract and restrict the flow of that love and light from the creator up through your energy body. And I think the more we can let go of that resistance and allow it to more flow more freely, the more we can be who we truly are at the deepest level. And that is the one infinite creator, I believe. If I remember right, it's the discipline of the personality, right? They said there's three main parts to it: know
Yeah,
yourself, accept yourself, and become the creator.
right.
Mhm.
It's like the first two I think I can handle. The third one seems like a quantum leap
Well,
above step
see,
one and two and difficult.
no, I'm not going to say that there's a mistranslation there, but I wonder if it's also saying be a create. I don't think it's instructing us to become God, where I'm like, gotta, you know what I mean?
I think they are. I think that is the whole point of it, that
Well,
we are all God.
right, we are all God, exactly, but we're not all the God. We're an aspect of God. So it's, to me, I'd like this idea of like co-creation, right? It's like if you do this work and you learn how to do these things, you can resist less.
For
Mhm.
sure.
And then when you're resisting less, you're like, but I have a lot of questions concerning a bunch of stuff, specifically the energy centers, right? The chakras. Do they call them discs in there at some point? I can't remember. Like, or do they call them, are they supposed to be like balls? What is the shape of these energy centers?
I don't know
Where,
if they actually state like the shape. I don't recall that anyway.
so
I've
is
never
there,
seen them use the word disc to describe it. That seems a little bit too flat and two dimensional.
okay,
It
yeah, I must have
seems
seen
the,
that
the
somewhere
the
else then.
feeling I get from whenever they describe them, and I'm not sure if they've said it exactly. It's more like balls of
Like,
light
okay,
energy.
like spheres, maybe.
I
Yeah.
think so.
So, okay, so then, and then it talks about a blockage in the energy centers, right? So
Hmm.
if we're thinking this in terms of like an actual physical representation, there's a ball. Is this energy center, so energy is coming from this energy center, and then we're experiencing it in the rest of our body. Is that how we're assuming these work? Because I know that,
I don't think it's coming from the energy center so much as it's the energy coming from the universe flowing through that energy center.
through that energy center. Okay, so there's some blockage there. So if you picture the sphere, there's energy coming out of it from the universe, and then there's like, let's say, like a little black spot on it that is like stopping energy from coming out if there's blockage, right? Because sometimes visualizing things help me. So the way I've been trying to work with it is that I think that attention is love in a way. Like focus is love. Like if you pay attention to the guitar, that's how you learn to play it. If you focus, right? So I've been trying to visualize the energy center and just simply view it, focus on it, bring my attention or consciousness to it. And I think that what can happen, I'm not an expert, but I think that what can happen is just by simply viewing it, those blockages can dissipate.
I
Thoughts?
would my thought with that is, I mean that's a good, like if you're in meditation and you focus on that, and then you look in your waking state, like what kind of catalysts or experiences come forward, that's going to give you more of a clue of other ways to unblock that blockage.
And okay, so
It's like setting the intention and
so
then
like for example, so if I felt like so maybe let's say I had felt like social anxiety or something, maybe
yeah.
that would be a catalyst that would represent sort of be represented by the second chakra, right? And
Second chakra, I think, deals
I would
with like
third?
individual other
Oh
selves.
yes,
Going
right.
into a group of situation might be more
Yes.
solar
So
plexus,
yellow.
yellow.
yeah.
Right. Okay, so in this example, what would you do to address that catalyst?
I
I
found a teaching once about these energy centers that I thought was so profound, which is it's not just like tiered upwards, they're also connected through concentric circles with each other.
Nice.
So we talk about the third one, which let's say is us in a social situation, our discomfort in that. Three is connected to one. And one is the sense of survival and just like the your basic, fears and survival needs. So if you connect those two and you find yourself socially anxious, you kind of do this mental exercise where you're like, why am I threatened right now? What about my first chakra is affecting my third chakra? Like how can I interconnect these two and help one with the other? Like I'm feeling threatened right now in this social situation because I feel like I'm about to be eaten by a lion. I don't know, like, you start to like it's more complicated than just that one chakra having its like experiences. Or two and four are connected. So like four is heart and two is how you feel about yourself. So you
Mm.
actually like bring those two together. You're like, I don't like myself right now. I need to infuse more four into two. I need to bring more heart into my second. And then the way I feel about myself begins to feel better. And then that feeds back into the heart chakra, and the heart chakra starts to vibrate more green, more clear, more strong. So it's like, it's an amazing exercise that you're like thinking about and talking about. And I think all those methods probably work, but to your point, like paying attention and understanding why you feel a certain way, and then really thinking about what's connected, what's affecting you, like what's speaking to what.
Yeah.
For
And
sure.
the visualization of the energy body stuff, I think for me has helped me bring me more down into my body, which is we're saying like going down into the heart is like the longest journey. It's like that helps me get out of my head and more
That's
bring the
so good.
catalyst into my body and stuff.
Yeah, that's so good.
I found it super helpful too. And as you were talking, Yasi, I was remembering the word resistance again, and I was trying to
Mm.
think of a good visual for it. And to me, the idea that came to mind was electricity and like a wire going from your bottom chakra to your top chakra, and that energy coming through is kind of like electricity. So the more you resist it, the more you're restricting that flow of electricity or energy through. So I think if one is feeling any kind of blockages related to any other person or group of persons, I think that the key to letting go of that resistance is to love. Love, they said, is the answer to every question, the solution to every problem. So trying to
Yeah.
find the love in whatever those situations are, and to maybe visualize letting that energy flow more freely into the heart. That
Yes.
I don't know. That's the way I'm looking at it.
That's
I
cool.
love
Yeah, and talking about the resistance thing, it makes me think of like if we're using my sort of visualization of like the energy center with a blockage, that is a kind of resistance. And if you take you saying energy for some reason made me think of the flow of water like in a hose, you know?
Right.
It's like
That too.
if
I
you
was thinking
bend
of
it,
water too, but then I thought
yeah,
electricity because I thought the energy centers would be like light bulbs. So you got
yeah.
different colored light bulbs along the way. And
But
the
it's like
more
you can
energy
like
that flows through, the more bright they can shine.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly. So you can like short it out by like corrupting it and having too much come out, which is probably where like being addicted to these behaviors of like the fearful behaviors come from. It's almost like they get more powerful sometimes when they're blocked because they need to be addressed through love. So they're like calling for your attention, you know?
Yeah.
Totally, totally. And that's what I was gonna say also is I think that we have to remember that this is not a like one and done kind of thing. It's not like you clear second chakra and then you never have to worry about that again. Like I think we continue to go back, like more you were talking about like the spiritual trajectory, you know, you dip, you go up, you dip, like you come back to those. You face a catalyst and you're like, oh, there's something in second and third chakra that's getting like needs attention again. Like let me
Yep.
look at that again. So I think it sets people up for failure, this idea that like you've got to clear your chakras and now they're clear. You're like I
Yeah.
think you're continuously kind of shining light on
And
all of
I,
Sure.
I've heard that healing is like a spiral, right? So we have this opportunity to work on whatever this catalyst is here.
them.
We do some work, we think we've got it cleared, right? And then it kind of goes around this spiral, and when it comes back, it might not have as big of a charge because you've worked
Mm.
on it a little bit, but that experience will come back to you again as another opportunity to assist in clearing.
I love that. It makes me think of the phrase upward spiraling light, right? It's
Yeah.
totally what you're saying makes sense. And what's funny is like if a catalyst started lower and it's spiraling up, you might meet that catalyst with a different chakra for a different reason. That same catalyst, right? Like
Mm.
first it affected you because it made you scared, and then it affected you because it made you question your worth in a like it could be the same catalyst, but different chakras meeting it as it spirals upwards. I love the
I've
spiral.
I've heard it said that enlightenment is a crystallization of the chakras.
Hmm.
That's pretty good.
I could see that.
So
That's
like
good.
that's what I'm an ambitious person. That's what I'm trying to get to.
Ah,
But I, isn't
really?
it's such a beautiful idea that it's like yeah
Yeah.
they become like sort of beyond blockage at that point.
Yeah. Well, doesn't Ra talks a lot about the crystalline person, crystalline healer. Like you do become
Yeah,
like,
and crystallizing energy centers too.
yeah, yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah, and the molecular makeup of crystals is such that I don't know. I shouldn't even talk about it because I don't know exactly, but it's
No,
there's
it's
some sort
just
of
like
like
everything is perfectly in its place
that's
and
right. Yeah.
gives
There's some
force.
sort of like repetition in the molecular structure of it that makes it like incredibly strong, like
Hmm.
almost physics defying strong.
For
That's a good
sure.
point.
Yeah, and crystals have been talked about quite a bit in channeling sessions over the years. So we did do a podcast episode on crystals. We did do a podcast episode on energy centers. So viewers would highly encourage you to check those out if you want to go deeper into it.
Like and
Otherwise,
subscribe,
yeah,
baby.
I think I'm ready to move on to another
We're
passage.
gonna
Did
be here
anybody have
till
anything
night.
else? Anybody have anything else to add on this one before we move on? Cool. Let's take a look at a passage on agents of faith and hope. On July 16th, 2005, Quo said, "We have said many times through this instrument that it would seem that one candle is a very weak thing, yet one candle can be seen for well over a mile if a line of sight is unobstructed. And a candle in the darkness is hope. So you represent knowingly one person and one process and one offering of love to the infinite creator. Yet you also are the candle that the wind cannot snuff out, that the darkness cannot overcome, and that no amount of denial by those who would embrace the dark can deny. You exist, a point of light and love. Simply know that as you do your work, as you breathe in love and breathe it out again, consciously blessing that energy as it moves through you, you are affecting your group, your tribe, and the Creator itself. We would encourage you, in fact, not to crusade for those ideas which we offer you this day. It is not a matter of the sharing of information, the matter of awakening the heart of humankind. It is more of an infective process. You are the secret agent of energies such as faith and hope. As entities about you see that you are undismayed by the apparent chaos around you, that you are hopeful in the face of all that you do not at all deny, but instead embrace. There comes to light within entities which dared not hope before the attractive possibility of hope. As entities see you launching yourself into the mid-air of a fool, leaping into the abyss by faith alone. And then, as they notice that you are riding that abyss in joy, there awakens within breasts to which faith was previous a stranger, that possibility of another way of looking at the illusion of planet Earth. As you penetrate the illusion, your eyes seeing clearly the light and love of the one infinite creator. Those who look into your eyes know what they cannot express and see and what they cannot describe. And for the first time, they believe in the possibility of faith. There, I love this passage, and there are so many things we could unpack in here. And I think maybe the thing that catches my attention the most is the part in the first paragraph about being a candle, and that you might be in a candle in a sea of darkness, but one single candle can be seen a mile away if your view is unobstructed. That it's another beautiful, powerful visual, and a reminder again to our viewers that everything we've been reading here came to us through the process of channeling. So the person who was saying these words was in a very, very deep meditative state, meaning they were only somewhat aware of what words were coming out of their mouth as they're saying them. They certainly didn't know where they were going. They certainly didn't know that it was going to look like this in the end. So to see so much profound love and compassion and wisdom and that process is, again, it's just a super beautiful thing to me, at least.
Yeah.
Heather, any thoughts on anything here?
Oh gosh, there's so much here, right? I think I love the part about the breathing as you breathe in love and breathe it out again, consciously blessing that energy as it moves through you. What a simple but very powerful act to bless your breath, in service of others. I notice in the second paragraph, like they reference the fool, and of course they talk about faith, which I think is a reference to the archetypical, um, the cards, the archetypical mind. I believe faith is card 17, which is, uh, let's see, the
Archetype
spirit
22, I think, was the fool
was the
or
fool.
the
Yep.
choice. Yeah.
And faith was, yeah, 17, which I believe is the catalyst of the spirit. But yeah,
Oh, good
just
one. I had forgotten that. I was thinking, I don't remember seeing the word faith in the archetypes,
uh,
but I think you're right. It's one that I had kind of forgotten, overlooked.
yeah, and then I think hope for me has is kind of it's very to me it's very different from faith. Faith is like a complete and releasing of resistance and trusting that all is well. And hope there seems to be like a little a pinhole that something may not go um, how you might want it to go. You're hoping it will. Oh, but there's a possibility that it may not. So I sometimes have a hard time wrapping my feelings around the word hope. But I love the word faith. Yeah.
Yeah, interesting way to look at it. I had not thought of that before. I definitely appreciate what you're saying, calling attention to that line in the first paragraph as you breathe in love and breathe it out again, consciously blessing that energy as it moves through you, the effects that it can have. It really cannot be overstated how important and profound that is. They've talked a lot about breath being sacred. They've talked a lot about how everybody is constantly taking in energy as it passes through our energy bodies, but so few people actually bless that breath as it goes out or bless that energy as it goes out. And they're saying it can make a big difference in the world, just adding that little bit of blessing. So we did a podcast episode on it. It's called Breath Work. Check it out, viewers, if you're interested. Otherwise, Morris, anything to add? Did I say
Yeah.
Morris? I meant Mort. Sorry.
No, no, I'm going by Morris now. Change it. I yeah, I love this. This is I love candle as metaphor because the light is such a simple. It's just light. That's it.
Yeah.
You can't. I heard this thing one time where they were like prophets speak in parables, which I really love. And that is such a beautiful parable. The other thing I love about it is that, sort of extrapolating from there, is that it also, when it goes out, you can see it turned into smoke. So it's
Hmm.
like there's this beautiful transmutation thing that you can see. And if you consider that as like a metaphor for when humans die, like it's not create that's a version of our spirit. It's just a change, and then it goes off and dissipates further, but it's
Oh, that's cool. I had never thought of it that way, but that's
I
super
know, me
cool.
too.
it's and then it's smoke and then it's gone, but it's not really, it's just gone from our eyes. It's not like it stopped truly, it's just changed, and like everything in the universe, that's what like Thich Nhat Hanh is like. If you look at a tree, you can see the sun and you can see the water and you can see the seed, all of that. It's like all of these natural entities represent like beautiful fractal representations of what it means to be alive. And then I love this thing about do not crusade for these ideas which we offer you this day. That's very unique. Most prophets are like, so many people are like, so you got to crusade for this, and they're like, don't do that. And I think a lot of that is related to what we were talking about the difference between like the head and the heart. Because I get, that's why I get excited when I'm coming here too, because I don't usually get to talk to people about this stuff, but I think about it a whole lot. So, and the beautiful thing about people, I think, is that we're really intuitive and we can all tell the difference between somebody who's like talking at me and somebody who's feeling honest truth and expressing it as it like comes from their heart, you know? So like the more I try to talk people into thinking the way that I think, which I will totally do sometimes, the most helpful thing is like you can still say those things, but if you say them like we were saying before from your heart, they're much more powerful. So I love this.
Yeah.
That's lovely.
Well, it ties in with that whole idea of being a secret agent of faith and hope as to one who is not at all secret about going out and
Yeah.
broadcasting their views and shouting it from rooftops and knocking on doors to see if anybody has heard of our Lord and Savior Ra.
Right.
So,
And some people are called to speak loudly in those ways and get enthusiastic and excited. But yeah, exactly. It's like it's the free, that's what I love, the free will thing it's a huge aspect. The respecting free will is
yeah.
number two. I can't remember. Love, then free will, something like that.
Yeah, well, like you said, I mean, it really is so different from all the other organized religions. I'm probably generalizing a little bit too much, but
Well, and
certainly
two, I
some
think a
more
lot.
than others make a big deal out of going out and converting others.
Yeah, and that's still like a small, that doesn't mean I find that like there's so much spiritual truth in what many of those prophets were saying. They just get screwed up
Sure.
because we're deeply, deeply imperfect. So when people find something as powerful as like a spiritual axiom or truth, somebody's going to come along and exploit it. It doesn't mean that there's not profound truths there already.
Yeah.
So
Well, anytime you make an organized religion out of something, then you gotta pay rent on a building, you gotta pay staff, and all of a sudden the whole thing takes on a whole different meaning and often turns out to be about controlling people, making them fear what's going to happen after they die so that you can get more money from them to keep the lights on and all that stuff.
Yeah,
So,
those Buddhists do pretty good.
yeah,
Depends. Some people keep it in the proper traditions. Yeah.
for sure. It is definitely one of the things that I appreciate about the Law of One that when we get together and do our little Zoom sessions on Tuesdays and Saturdays, which we do not record, doesn't really cost much money to do that other than the Zoom subscription. And it's a way to hang out and talk with people and get a lot of the same experiences that you might get from a church community or mosque or synagogue.
Totally.
I don't know. What do you think? Yasi, any thoughts on anything here?
amazing conversation. You guys say such lovely things. Again, like such beautiful passages. Just a candle in the darkness is hope. Oh, I want to tattoo that one, Mort. It's just so beautiful. Um, I think that this brings up something so personal for me in this current moment. Like, I'm from Iran, and just now in this current moment, all this like horrible stuff is happening over there, right? And I'm all the way over here, and I have a lot of friends and family. We're all from there. And I have a lot of people in my life who respond to what's going on over there with like a lot of very charged emotions. I mean, definitely grief and sadness, but also like a lot of anger, a lot of hatred, a lot of like just like resentment and cursing of the dark forces that cause so much pain and grief, like, and hurt people. I mean, I completely get it. I think it's easy to be taken up by that very, very deep and strong emotion of like unfairness and go deep into it. Um, and again, this kind of goes back to the what can you do if you care about doing something helpful that could be more beneficial than that. It's again easy to go down that path and be all those things, but it might be harder but more influential if you become that candle, if you keep in mind that maybe all those people and all that darkness need hope. Maybe it doesn't help that you are also like in pain and angry and dark and hateful because like that's just the same dark, right? Like maybe it's nice that you stand here because you have the privilege, I guess, to be able to. And you
Mm.
almost owe it to them because you get to be here and you're not in the depth of it. Maybe you owe it to them to be as hopeful as you can be, as like filled with light as you can be. Like focus on the love and shift it from the anger, the sadness, the hatred. It's so easy to go there. Like I want to feel those emotions, I want to be hateful of people who hurt, right? But shifting that, just shifting that vantage point to love, I think like that second paragraph just talks about the way that you inspire and these entities so that they see light somewhere. So they look in the distance and they're like, there might be an end to this. I don't know. I just think that that's so beautiful. And I think that if you are able to see things in that bigger picture and not focus so much on the pain and grief, I think that I don't know, you help yourself and you help others. It's
Yeah,
so
I
beautiful.
think they go together for sure. I think it would be fair to say that the entities who seem to be in charge of our political economic systems have definitely made it their goal to keep the populace in a constant state of fear and anxiety and bellicosity. They definitely want people to feel afraid. They definitely want people to be angry and maybe
Yeah.
ideally both. So I think what I was getting from what you were saying is that really, I mean, the best way we can counter that is to not get angry and not be fearful and not give them those feelings and vibrations that they are seeking for and feeding on, but rather to counter with an open heart. If you can actually, in spite of everything else going on in the world, keep
Not
an
easy.
open heart and unconditional love, I can't think of a better way to be of service to others.
Yeah, it's not easy.
Yeah, yeah. Anyone else? Any thoughts on anything else from this passage?
Yeah, I mean, thank you for sharing that, Yasi. That was really, really beautifully said, beautifully articulated. And I love that you were able to be so honest about what's happening right now with you. I think that is when people are that honest, that opens my heart, to be able to hear like, and there's a difference. Like you can feel it when people are speaking directly from their heart. It's very, very powerful and brings up emotions in me like grief and sadness, and but in a good way, like in a way, because I think too, I never wanted to feel any feelings ever. I think I spent so much of my life like running from grief and not allowing myself to feel anger. And so I think there's this delicate sort of nuanced dance from being like not denying those things and also aiming for the light, which I think you just described beautifully in your like encapsulation of all that's going on and all the people's reactions and your reactions to them too. And I think in terms of, for me, it doesn't, look, I despise the military industrial complex. I will say that right now. You know what I mean? I have no problem like judging. I'm an extremely judgmental person. I despise the reality that people are killing families, mothers, I mean, the whole thing is just true insanity to me. I like to try to think of it. This helps me a little bit. I think the idea of momentum is a little bit under considered in spirituality. And I think that a true miracle is when negative momentum is reversed. And I think that the what you're describing is like a miracle like that. And then a lot of these systems are just inheritors of like extreme trauma. So like I don't think there's some dark entity at the top of all of it going like gotta freak everybody out. You know what I mean? I think the reality is that like the people pay attention to fearful things because it's captivating and it helps us to feel vigilant, and then we feel safer, you know. But if we can follow these things and trust that there's like a greater safety, which is, you know, for us as people that follow this, see these as the reality of like love is the greatest reality and there's nothing safer than that, then hopefully I can walk this road of not denying my feelings, not shutting myself off from the world, processing the world with an open heart, and also not absorbing more than is healthy for a human to take on,
For sure.
That's so beautiful.
and also speaking up when necessary. It's such a, you know, I don't know, it's a beautiful, it really, catalysts, man, beautiful challenges all around. And yeah,
Yeah.
that's it. Thanks.
That's
Yeah. Oh,
so,
go ahead. Yes.
thank you. Thank you, Mort. Sorry, Jonathan. Can you hear me? I'm having so many all of a sudden audio problems. Can you guys hear me?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're coming through loud and clear. Just fine.
Um, I just wanted to say more that you speak to something so, first of all, thank you for all of that. But this idea that people are acting out of pain, also like the perpetrators of such painful things are also acting out of such pain. Like the understanding of that, I guess, is one of the things that makes you see the everything in kind of a bigger light than you know, oh, they're just like evil people and demons on the world and there's good and there's bad. Like it does help to see the humanity even in the most inhuman acting people.
Sure.
Mm. That, I
Yeah,
mean, that's
from a
incredible.
loved one
That's
perspective, there's nothing crazy or insane or evil about what they're doing. They're just of the opposite polarity of the positive polarity, and everything that they're doing in that sense makes perfect sense. And it is just as acceptable to the one infinite creator as the acts of kindness
Yeah.
and love and positivity. So. When I was referring to entities that were feeding on vibrations of fear and bellicosity, I was really thinking of what Quo said about the so-called space pirates and the time lateral, and that
Oh
there
yeah.
are, in fact, fifth density negative
those
entities,
space
according to
parrots.
them, in those passages that do literally feed on vibrations of fear.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do this thing where I pick and I take what I can use and leave the rest. And there's stuff where I'm like, I already have enough fear in my life. In the spiritual community, I see a lot of people, in my opinion, kind of projecting their own fear onto the spirit world, which is kind of amazing because it can be this blank canvas for whatever you want to project onto it, you know? So I try, if there's stuff that's like loving, I try to hold on to it. And if not, I try to let it go.
That's really good.
That's fair. That's
Yeah,
legit for
really
sure.
good.
But I'm gonna go as a space pirate for Halloween or whatever. I don't know. It's funny. I don't know.
Yeah, I definitely want to be a space pirate.
Yar, give me your soul.
Your
Energy.
dilithium crystals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I eat your fear. Yum, 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 like spaghetti. Silly.
I want to see what that costume looks like. Only we'll know it.
Yeah.
Oh, space pirate. Cool.
Yeah, of course.
I think the space pirates thing for me and the time lateral thing for me, I look at it the same way I do most everything in the law of one, which is to me, it provides a lens that I can look through and look at the world and make more sense of it. Because otherwise, I would have a really hard time explaining why the world and our government and our such is so crazy compared to what it was back in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. And that when I look at it this way, it's like, oh, okay, well, no, okay, that makes sense. I understand it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I would just have a hard time making sense out of what's going on.
Yeah, but there's this other amazing thing that I consider where we're at to be a real time of transparency, like more so than ever before. Because you know they killed Martin Luther King. Like there's been no shortage of darkness, and not that things aren't currently darker now, but the reality is I think we're seeing, if you are willing to be open to paying attention to it, you know, they just released all these, like everything that is hidden in the shadows is coming to light, from Me Too to like the names and addresses of people who maybe are, on doing some bullshit on the internet, like that's all different kinds of transparency. To me, that's like a kind of light that is coming through our consciousness. Like if we're at the beginning, if the internet is like training wheels for fourth density, right? It's like we're getting a look at what it would look like to have everything exposed. And then, of course, there are people.
That's not how I'm seeing it.
Well, no, like
I saw the Epstein files they released, and I'm not seeing a whole lot of transparency.
No, but dude,
it's seen a lot of black ink on the pages.
But it's way more than it would have been. Like, and I'm not saying there aren't entities, because we're not in fourth density, right? So there are entities who are going to take it and control the narrative and all this other stuff. You know what I mean? But it just keeps coming, and people try to stop it, and it comes out, and people try to stop it, and it comes out, and people try to stop it, and it comes out. So it's like you can stand in the middle of you can stand and try to stop the river if you want, but and the internet is obviously a problem, and obviously things are not perfect, but I'm just saying there's like these brilliant, strange pockets of like humanity has so much darkness that a lot of it needs to be seen,
For sure.
And so much of it's been hidden for so long. So it's like really messy and gnarly to see so much of it. We never would have heard of it.
And Quo has said that fourth density light has more it's called densities because fourth density light is more dense than third density. It's got more information, it's got more truth in it. So like you were saying, things that we were not able to see before or things that we were able to keep hidden, it's harder to do that now.
Yeah.
That's a good thing.
We've seen pictures inside Epstein's house. You know what I mean? Like there's just stuff we would not have seen before. So
I didn't need to see that.
No, but I'm just saying, like there's so much stuff I don't want to see.
Yeah, right, for sure. Does anybody have anything else to add before we change topics? Look at another passage. Loving the conversation, by the way. Really, really enjoying it. It's super fun, and hope we can keep doing that. Why don't we go ahead and take a look at a couple passages on secret identities. On January 24th, 2009, Quo said, "To envision a troublesome other self as the creator is an exercise that anyone is capable of doing. Say that you're attempting to deal with a family member that seems to be intractably determined to avoid coming into harmony with you. The challenge then is to re-see that family member. See that entity as the Christ and watch your defensiveness and anger subside. Now you are the only one who is aware of this entity's true nature. So this is your secret. Only you know the true identity of this family member. But since you know, it changes your experience of this entity. This family member may continue, as this instrument would say, to push your buttons, and yet you see this entity unhappy as he is attempting to sow strife, and you are not vulnerable to the automatic responses that you learned towards this family member so long ago. You do not have to remain stuck in the pattern of a relationship that was formed before you were a person of self-awareness and power. You can forge a new relationship that only goes one way, and that relationship is love reflected in love. His situation may not change. He may never get that which you are offering so freely and lovingly, but your experience shall be greatly improved, for you have chosen to see reality instead of illusion, to dig deep instead of sliding across the surface of life. Those depths are comforting and peaceful, and living in love is healing and joyful. Thusly, little by little, you may, by the way you see your life, create a new world for yourself in which all beings are the Christ and all actions are those taken in love." Really love the imagery here. It's I love that part in the first paragraph. Say you're attempting to deal with a family member who seems intractably determined to avoid coming into harmony with you. In other words, an asshole. Imagine this person is actually Jesus or God, like disguised as an asshole. It's like only you are aware of this person's secret identity. I just think that's so funny. It's just, yeah, great. What do you think, Morton? Any thoughts on this passage? Or
I mean, I don't like that Quo channeled this directly about me and my dad. I don't think that was cool. I think it's like,
yeah. So who's who in this?
Where is he coming from? You know what I mean? Like, hey man. No, it's beautiful, and I think that is, I think the closer to the people that we're the closest to can be the most challenging to be with, and that's why they're like beautiful, beautiful mirrors. And I love you don't have to remain stuck in the pattern of the relationship. It's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah.
And then a person of self-awareness and power. Like I like that too. It's like you get to be both of those things now. You get to have self-awareness and you get to have power both. It's cool.
For sure. Yeah, and I would think healing that relationship that we're talking about with a family member that you had issues with, that's healing for sure. It might not look like healing in the naturopathic sense or whatever, or spiritual sense people might normally think of, but I for sure would see that as healing and magical for that matter. What,
And
Yasi, anything to add?
Um, it's funny what you said about your dad because I thought about my mom when I read this. I went through a period, and my mom and I, especially like as I've become more of an adult, get along fine. But we went through this period where like just something happened, and we, got in a huge fight, and I personally thought, that she was being unfair. And anyways, like a lot of time and space fell between like our togetherness. And I remember that during that time, I accepted that maybe things aren't going to be okay. Who knows when? They're definitely not okay now, but I wanted to still not have, mean feelings towards it and anger and like, and so I was trying to send her love just from like where I
mm,
was without being with her and unable to do that in person because there's such like resistance. And I remember one of the things all of a sudden I have this like old picture of her where she's a teenager and she's just like so like beautiful and young and free and she's got this huge smile on her face and like it almost makes me emotional. I thought
mm,
that person in that moment was just filled with like love and was carefree and all the hope in the world and life hadn't jaded her and like physical stuff hadn't happened to her and that's that person, like that person is who I'm looking at, right? Everything else is just all this extraneous stuff that happens to us as we go through the painful existence that is 3D life, right? Like, and it made it so much easier for me to find that love and have it be genuine, and just have it come from
mm,
the heart. So I think that when you look at anyone, yeah, maybe seeing them as Christ is a little bit difficult. Like he is definitely one of the embodiments to me that is so pure, but maybe just seeing their most like possible version, the giving them the benefit of the doubt that they've got all this beauty and possibility and potential within them, and you're gonna see them that way, even if they don't see themselves that way, and even
Right.
if they're not acting that way, right? Like you don't set them up for failure. You
mm.
see their best version, and then you let that be your reality of them. And then they can either meet it or not, right? Then it's their free will at that point. But
Beautiful story.
Yeah.
Really appreciate your sharing that. And it reminds me there's somebody in our Tuesday, Saturday Zoom group who has said more than a couple times that, yeah, when they're thinking of somebody who they are really having a hard time loving and accepting, and I'm thinking of somebody in the political arena or whatever, they picture that person as a child and remember that they were probably a beautiful child and probably had some experiences that shaped them to be who they are today. And same as we all would be in that same situation, I'm sure.
yeah.
It's helpful for her. It's something I don't remember all the time to do, but I think it's another great tool to put in the toolbox, I suppose. Heather, any thoughts? Anything to add?
Not much. I just think it's another tool to show us how to be a secret agent, right? Like, okay, whoever I'm interacting with right now, like recognizing that, oh, like they're the light, recognizing the light within them. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like
That's so
Mission Impossible where they take the mask off and they're, oh, it's the one infinite creator.
what do you know?
Never would have guessed. Yeah.
But then it is Tom Cruise after that. You're like,
And then it's Tom Cruise. And then it's like, wow.
ah.
I know he thinks he's God. I just didn't think anybody else did.
He's a little god,
Yeah.
little tiny, little handsome god,
Ah, yeah.
Little handsome God.
hunky
But
little god.
that's what he calls himself in private. Little handsome God.
Probably.
That's his affirmations, not his
Yeah,
meaning.
yeah.
When he's at Scientology meetings, that's probably what they do.
We got a hunky little god climbing on the side of that building.
Yeah. I think I have one other passage on secret identities. Anybody have anything else they wanted to share on this one before we look at a different one?
I just think it'd be funny if we found out that Tom Cruise was like half a foot tall. That's how I'm thinking of it now. They're like, it's all been camera tricks. There's like, he's like, can you fit in your pocket or whatever?
Pocket Tom Cruise. I'm sure he would not enjoy that.
Yeah, I may have just called this. All right, I'm gonna stop.
He is supposedly very short in stature. I believe he is like 5 foot, I don't know, 2, 3, 4 or something.
Really?
About my height, which is about 5'4".
Yeah,
So
he's a short king, which is cool.
yeah, they do a really good job of not making him look short on the camera. I wish I could apply that to my own life. I don't know what kind of elevator shoes he's wearing, but I gotta get a pair of
Have you
those.
met Jonathan? He's 6'9".
Yeah. I know I look huge on the Zoom camera. Yeah, for sure. That's like, yeah. Well, let's go ahead and take a look at another passage. This was from May 17th, 2005, and quote here said, "Let us look for a bit at this question of identity. It is certainly true that the entities around you and around almost all entities who are brought up in traditional Western culture are taught that their identity is a matter of who their parents are, what their religion is, where they live, and where they go to school. Depending upon the nature of the culture, various children will be given other information concerning who they are and why they are on planet Earth. However, in almost all cases, the details are circumstantial, having to do not with what one feels oneself to be from the inside out, but rather of what one's circumstances of birth and circumstances are, the estate into which one was born in terms of class, race, location, belief system, and so forth. In this kind of way, the details of birth and circumstance remains important. They have set you up for those points of focus upon which you wish to center your attention during this time of living and blooming. However, to lean too heavily upon such circumstantial details in forming an idea of one's identity is to embrace the superficial and to distract oneself from the deeper issues involved in incarnation and in transformation within that incarnation. These details are as the bread and the salt and the water. They are not the yeast. The yeast, or growing agent for incarnation, lies within you and is part of you. It could be called love. Love is that word which is so overused by your culture that it virtually means nothing. And so we would ask you to take a fresh look at what love is and how it acts to grow the elements of your personality into a cohesive, rich, and fragrant offering to the one infinite creator. Beautiful passage, and I think it's pointing out something that is fairly obvious, which is most of us really think of ourselves in terms of our outer circumstances, what we do for a living, what our family is, where we live, what sports team we root for, or whatever. And very rarely are we encouraged to look at really who we are on the inside. And it is yet another thing that I appreciate about the law of one. What do you think, Yasi? See anything of interest in here? Any thoughts, reflections?
Yeah, I think that this is a nice little tie into a few other things that you brought up in the other passages, like being that unique stained glass, that unique, beautiful song and dance. And then also this idea of like people seeing you a certain way. Like there's a passage in the other passage, there was that line that was like, you do not have to remain stuck in the pattern of relationships that was formed. That almost makes me think like you don't have to be stuck looking at someone the same way, right? I think that there are ways that we act that might not have that much to do with who we are at the core. Like we're each of us is this beautiful, unique soul, and then all this other stuff on top. Some because we have to learn things, some because we've learned things from others. But um, this idea that you can strip away all these identifiers and you can change them. Like when people say people don't change, I always both agree and disagree. Like, yes, your core kind of doesn't change. You've got this very unique signature soul, but there's so many things about the way that you interact with the world and you perceive things and you approach things and you express love. Like those can change. And I think that um, that we get stuck not allowing others that opportunity to
Mm.
change. And it's nice to think that we always have that avenue of growth. We don't want to be identified by these external things, especially because so many of the things that matter are within our control to morph and change and like express our true nature, the best we can.
Yeah, beautifully said. Much appreciate that. Oh, Heather, any thoughts on that or anything to add?
Yeah, no, it makes me think about all the ways I kind of classify myself, like what identities am I holding and like how deep can that go? Like how many layers could there be? All the way to, it makes me think of the I am principle, right? Like I am a mom. I am a broadcast engineer. I am a dancer. I am a soul incarnated on planet Earth, and how we kind of layer those identities, even to just make sense of where we're at a particular point in our life. And I like the way you said that, Yasi, like there's got to be there's got to be room for change, like when we're viewing ourselves, but in viewing others too. Like maybe they were one way at one point, and now their identity has totally changed. They're different now, and to accept them for that difference. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, yeah, the part about the change is something that I hadn't really thought that much about in reading this passage, but now that you're bringing it up, I'm realizing that, yeah, in that second paragraph, they're talking about not leaning too heavily into the outer details of your life, because they'll distract yourself from the deeper issues involved in incarnation and in transformation within that incarnation. Transformation is such a key part of our thing. It is part of the archetypical mind, and I kind of forgot that part of it here. So, yeah, appreciate bringing that up. Mort, anything to add? Any thoughts on anything?
Yeah, I agree. I see that was really beautiful the way you said that about allowing others to change to my hope is that as we do this, as I do this work around understanding that, like, I like the way Eckhart Tolle says it to me. He'll say, he's like my name's not Mort. That's just like a weird sound somebody made said and was like, you or that now. You know what I mean? And then all of a
Yeah,
sudden, or like,
yeah,
you know what I mean? There's no such thing as a
yeah.
podcast. It's just like a weird sound that we make with our tongue in our mouth, which is weird, And like, and so these are all they're all like labels, and the hopeful. I would hope that in relation to what you said, the more I break those down in myself to get closer to who I truly am, the more I will naturally see others as they truly are. And I agree that that's the hardest. Or if we don't, I need to know that people can change. It's like a lifesaver for me to know that people can change because it means that I can change. So that's like one of the most optimistic things there are. And my hope is, as I allow that for myself, I can allow it for others too. And like you were saying, Jonathan, I love this part about to lean too heavily upon circumstantial details, embrace the superficial to distract oneself from the deeper issues involved in carnation and in transformation within the carnation. Which is crazy because that's counterintuitive to everything we've been told our entire lives, that like the external is the important thing. And this is saying that's a distraction from, like, my interpretation would be like the external comes from the internal. So it's an inside job once you change these things. And so it's just good to be reminded of that for me, because I walk around all day long in a world that tells me the opposite. Um, yeah, so this is great.
That's
Well,
so
we've
true.
been so conditioned to think of ourselves as the physical body that we see when we look in the mirror. It's really easy to forget that, no, the physical body is just a vessel for your soul. Who you really are is that thing inside. It's kind of like I read somewhere, it's like electricity running through a wire, becoming convinced that it's the wire.
Mm-hmm.
You're not the wire, you're the electricity running through the wire. And
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, that's a cool way to think about it. And I try to think about seeing people as energy bodies, like even when we're on Zoom and looking at each other's faces, I'm trying to remember that that is just an illusion and that there is a whole bunch of bright lights and
That's
love
so
the
cute.
light of the infinite creator behind there, behind the face.
That's so cute, Jonathan. I'm gonna try that. I'm serious.
Yeah, yeah, it is. It's fun.
Well, and
Yeah.
it's accurate, right? It's like we don't. There's so much we can't see. Like we're all a collection of cells, and and there's like as we all know, there's so much that exists on like the light spectrum that we'll never be able to see. It's like who's to say that there's not like we're just gorgeous rainbows and gold, and you know what I mean? That we can't even see. It's like
Yeah, I love it.
it's all entirely possible.
Kind of reminds me of when my mom was getting ready to pass. And I mean, she was still coherent at the time. And I was like, oh, mom, you're so much bigger and brighter than this physical body, you know? And she was like, whoa, like she really connected with that. And I was,
Oh,
Mm.
yeah, you're not just this physical thing. You're way bigger and brighter. And yeah,
that's so
See,
That's
good.
so
we
cool that
forget,
she was able to receive that.
I
yeah,
know.
especially at that time in particular when
yeah,
maybe she needed that most.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. Sometimes I'll see a group of people walking down the sidewalk and I can see a bunch of red and orange and yellow and green and blue energy centers, little balls walking around on the
That's
sidewalks. It's like,
so
that's
Ah,
great.
funny.
that's
That's
great.
cool.
It's like a
Yeah.
Pixar movie.
That's
Yeah.
so cool.
And then I say to myself, yeah, I shouldn't have taken those mushrooms today. Probably not a great idea.
Do less next time. Just don't, you
Yeah.
know.
There is such a thing as microdosing. We have one more passage, one more topic to look at. Anybody have anything to add on this passage before we move on?
I wanted to say one final thing, which is so often, so many of us are getting our sense of value from those external identity markers. That's the other thing, right? Like we think our worth comes from that. And it's sometimes so hard to convince ourselves and others, like those are all unimportant in that sense of things. You know, your worth doesn't come from your job or the relationship you have with your brother or all these external things that we use to identify ourselves. And that's one of the other freeing aspects of removing those identity markers. You start to realize your inherent sense of worth is not connected, it's not anchored to anything substantial in that way.
Yeah.
Well said.
I love the light touch episode that you did. And it makes me think of this sort of concept that I have that the less light touch you use, the more in pain you become. So like the more I attach to these external define and I do all like it's I have to
All
continually
do.
work to let them go. But
Yeah.
the more I attach, the less light touch I have around my job, all the stuff, the more pain I'm in.
Oh, that's so good.
Sure.
It's really good.
Yeah, yeah, which may well be a great segue into our last passage. Let's go ahead and take a look at one passage on cleverness and creativity. On October 3rd, 2004, Quo said, "What shall you do to grow your world into that loving, unified, peaceful world which each of you can envision? May we say that it begins with you, this day and this moment, not in a large way, but in the most small way. What are your thoughts as you approach your next decision? Is there a desire to defend? Is there a desire to protect? Examine these desires. Is there the desire to embrace and to bring into one? Examine that desire. Examine your thoughts carefully to sift out those energies which have in them a lack of that focus and resonance which you can associate with the open heart. We ask you as well to be clever, to work with the limitations and distortions of the culture about you rather than attempting to leave them behind. Attempt to work within them so that the very things that are designed to be limiting become those things that are freeing. This is the work of an immense amount of subtlety and cleverness, and yet each of you has a good mind, a good power of reasoning and imagination, and a gift of creativity. We suggest that you add to those things humor, patience, and an endless supply of thankfulness. How can you be joyful and peaceful within your life, within if your life is not grounded in the thankfulness that you are here, that you have this impossible task in front of you, and the time to address the purposes for which you entered incarnation? Keep that ground of thankfulness and that awareness of the self as just the beginning that opens to you the creator that you are, and see every door that is shut as a temporary thing, lifting away from anger, disappointment, and hostility to embrace hope, faith, and love. I love those words in the first paragraph. It really harkens back to one of the very first things that Ross said in their very first contact with L&L research, which is look at your thoughts, examine your thoughts. What thoughts did you think today? How many of those thoughts were of the one original thought of love? And I like the way they're asking you to really examine your thoughts and look at how you do that and ask how you could perhaps make your thoughts and your words be more in resonant with the open heart and the one original thought of love. Oh, what do you think? Any thoughts, reflections on anything here, Heather?
Oh boy. Yeah. I mean, I think it's all beautiful. I love it at the end. They bring it back to thankfulness and an endless supply of thankfulness, which is, I always try to bring things back to gratitude. Even if something doesn't feel good, I have to have some gratitude in that particular moment because I'm sure it's teaching me something that I need to know. Humor, patience, and an endless supply of thankfulness. Yeah, that's a good tattoo as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I appreciate you bringing it up. I think I remember on those moments when I have felt my heart was wide open, that feeling of gratitude and thankfulness was a big part of that too. And it's easy to forget. Mort, any thoughts on anything here?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I mean, just there's just so much depth, and I agree. I really relate to the thankfulness thing, which I just say gratitude. And it's nuts how it's helped me and my life. And when I forget to do it, I like there's this. I think it's a Towns Van Zandt line where he talks about like the moonlight turning into butter. I think, but it's like this idea that like
He was from Texas, I believe. Yeah.
and brilliant like what gene like but just this idea that like if gratitude turns dust into gold for me, like I if I don't remind myself like I'm grateful for hot water, I'm grateful for a roof over my head, I'm grateful to have this really cool sweater and friends named Jonathan, Yassi, and Heather, like I ignore that stuff and then I become very like unhappy and cynical and entitled that I deserve more. That's like it's very easy for me to go into that. And I'm open to more, by the way. I'm down for the universe to give me all the
You
gifts.
do deserve better friends than us. I can
I'm glad you
You're
saw
not wrong on that.
saw specifically what I meant with that. Which you guys are 6 out of 10, and I no,
I'm a Seattle six and an
just,
LA
but not
four.
even hotness, just
Yeah.
friendships. I rate people 1 to 10 as far as as far as their ability to be my friend. But it's psycho because it's like it's not a good look for me as a 46-year-old white man to be like, "Where's mine?" and be entitled, And this stuff has really like helped me. And again, it's a daily practice, which is beautiful because, like we say, like yesterday's shower doesn't keep you clean, which we kind of talked about before. It's not a one and done thing. I need to continue to grow my muscle of gratitude, and recognize and that's the other thing too. I think all the spiritual stuff for me, it works because it's accurate. It's accurate that I have an incredible amount of abundance in my life. And when I'm not recognizing that, I'm not seeing the whole truth. So yeah, it's just so true. This lifting away. And it took me forever to learn how to do that because I thought it was corny. But it's like what it really does is like keep me from suicidal ideations. And like there's nothing corny about that. You know what I mean? It's that big and cool. And working with the limitations and distortions of the culture, yeah, trying to bring this. I said I wasn't gonna I said I wasn't gonna promote anything, but I'm like, you can look me up on Substack. I'm gonna be releasing this book I wrote called A Shimmering Love That's With All of Us Forever is what it's called. And I wrote it like 4 years ago when I was doing a ton of meditation. No, it was longer, it's older than that actually. But anyway, randomly, there was a couple of synchronicities where a friend was like, you should start posting this. So I started posting the first chapter. And I think my whole life, and I'm grateful for all of this work because I think it's helped me to try to do my best to bring love and joy through the creative work that I do.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Because it's all a sacrifice, like we talk about, like we say, even just coming to Earth is sacrifice. Like, you're gonna be here. It's a natural human desire to create, and I think we get that snuffed out of us pretty easily. It's a little bird that lives in your heart that is like wants to sing, but the society's like, if you're not the best singer in the world, you shouldn't sing. Like you were saying before about like dance doesn't matter. Like bring your joy and your laughter and your pain and all that shit and put it out there, because we need it more now than ever. We really do. If there are dark forces, they don't want us to be publicly creative and joyful and smart.
That's awesome.
You know.
Yeah.
So yeah, time for I think you're muted, Jonathan, but time for the law of one people to stop acting like they don't got shit to say and get out there, baby. I think you're muted, Jonathan.
Go.
For some reason, we can't hear you, Jonathan.
Yeah, I think you're
Oh,
muted.
I'm sorry.
There we go. There it is.
It's true that gratitude and thankfulness can sound corny and easy to take for granted. And I have a friend who keeps a gratitude journal. So every day on Facebook, she's posting gratitude journal entry number. I don't know, she's in the hundreds. And I have to admit, I stopped reading them after a while, 'cause I'm just, yeah, I'm not quite resonating with that. And yet it is so important. It is so true. And certainly for her, it's an important thing. So gotta validate that for sure. Yasi, would anything to add?
Um, I feel like if you look at this one slide with all the paragraphs together, it's almost like a roadmap for the unfolding spiritual journey. Like, here you go. This is what it's going to look like. What is it going to take for you to reach, the seeker's goal, which is basically to create this reality around you that is filled with love and peace and unity and togetherness. Um, how do you do that? You begin by examining yourself, by examining your decisions and actions. How can you infuse that with a lot of useful things? You bring humor, you bring patience, you flood it with gratitude, and then you kind of, proceed forward, like one step in front of the other. And the more that you do that, the path unfolds, the more powerful in all the good ways you become, the more you're able to approach every situation with cleverness, which to me feels like um, when you're in the moment and you're present, you have this way of like manipulating and transmuting the energies around you. You have this like almost powerful magical personality where, something negative comes at you, you take it, you hold it, you morph it, you push it back. You're clever, like you're magical. So I think this is incredible. Like, here, just print this one page out, and like this is what the unfolding is gonna look like. It also makes me think of a teacher you guys probably, most of you know, Ram Dass. And there's this phrase that he uses that always sticks with me, which is very similar to "the moment contains love," and he says, "I am loving awareness."
Mm.
So, like, in every given moment, you are loving awareness. It encompasses everything. Like, the love is there, the awareness is there. You're constantly looking at yourself, trying to be loving. You're examining the situation with awareness and presence. I just think it's amazing. Like, there it is. There's the roadmap.
Yeah, and I really appreciate your highlighting the cleverness part, because I really love that phrase in the second paragraph where they said, "We ask you to be clever, to work with the
Mm.
limitations and distortions of the culture about you, rather than attempting to leave them behind. Attempt to work within them so that the very things that are designed to be limiting become those things that are freeing." And it's something I've thought about a fair bit recently, because it's true. I mean, the impression that I'm getting from, let's just call them current events, is that, man, I am powerless to change anything in the political, social arena. And in a sense, it's really dismaying and disappointing, and whatever the word is for losing hope. But if you flip that around, it's like, well, oh, okay. well, if I'm powerless to change anything in the outer world, then I may as well just not think about it and just go ahead, focus on the inner work and doing all the things that we've been talking about this episode in terms of unblocking energy centers and trying to keep the heart open and trying to be kind and compassionate. It's like, oh, okay. In a way, it's liberating and empowering to look at it that way.
True. That's
Yeah.
so.
I get like deep relief around the reality that sometimes people have the most beautiful spiritual experiences in jail. You know, that
Yeah.
that's how much it is an inside job. Is like you can
So
totally sometimes when you're cut off from all
true.
of the distractions, you can find the most beautiful thing. And I love what you said, Yasi. And the one thing I would maybe add, just because I think it's so important, is I really am starting to think that community is as important as sunshine and food for people.
Definitely.
You know what I mean? Like I think it's and we've ignored it, we've isolated ourselves, and we're seeing consequences of that. So I think you're so right about this roadmap, and it's so beautiful. And I think the cool thing is when you take those actions, you do often serendipitously start running into people who are somehow magically on this a similar path. You know,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
connecting with other people is like how we all understand more, like we're doing on this podcast, just like raise the oceans so the boats keep rising. You know.
That's
For sure.
awesome. I love
Yeah,
that.
it has been said. It's even wired into the archetypical mind that is often the most negative experiences that enable us to polarize most positively in
Hmm.
that direction. So
Dude, and there's some seemingly negative stuff happening, right? So there might be a whole lot of positive polarizing.
that's what I'm saying. Yeah. I mean, it's like resistance training. It's like, wow, to be able to
Yeah.
take in all of that negativity and, as Yasi said, to spin it into something positive or to use it as a way to polarize more positively and to be of service to others. That's beautiful stuff.
I'll stop after this, but I always do feel like the bigger the challenge, if you meet it with love, that you have the proportional opposite growth as far as terms of like depth of being a human, you know?
Yeah, that's
It's
so
why
true.
like all the best music, like in a lot, all the best modern music has come out of America. And not just because of the pain. There's also like so much, you know, there's so much beauty and depth and richness and soul in this country. A lot of this country I don't like at all, but then like we have all this, you know, some beautiful art. It's like inextricable. It's not because of the pain, but it's related, you know.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I think it's why Quo and Ra said so many wanderers choose to incarnate specifically at this time, at the end of density and during graduation harvest time, because as intense and freaky and insane as it is, it gives us opportunities for growth that they said are basically impossible at higher densities. So it's
Mm.
why so many of us fought tooth and nail, they said, to get in line to have a body and incarnate here. So if you can remember that and enjoy it along the
I
way,
mean,
that's
dude, and
that.
we have laughter and like songs and movies and dogs. Like, what's you know what I mean?
And
So many
tacos.
taco, tons of tacos, all kinds of different tacos.
Yeah.
All kinds of different.
Say what you will about third density, but the food fucking rocks.
There's
Yeah.
no
I
shortage of
would come
burritos
back here
down here.
just for the chicken wings. Yeah.
That's the thing I'm gonna miss the most going into fourth.
Try to grab a burrito on the way out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
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 Go by your burrito stand or whatever.
Take out. Lovely conversation, people. Does anybody have anything else they want to add on this passage before we start wrapping things up? Cool. So where do we go from here? What are some takeaway lessons we might want to remember from our 2 hour plus discussion here? I have four for your consideration. One, if you can remember that you are indeed a secret agent of love and light and faith and hope and healing, that's a good thing. If you can just remember who you are and why you are here, Quo has said it many, many times. That's one of the most valuable ways you can be of service to others. Just remember who you are, why you're here, and being yourself on the deepest level, since you are the one infinite creator, as is everybody else. And planting seeds for fourth density, the density of unconditional love and of understanding. Anything that you do now while you incarnated is planting seeds for fourth density. And lastly, being clever, being resourceful, finding ways to turn disadvantages into advantages, I think is a really good lesson to remember. What do you think? Mort, any takeaway lessons of your own you'd like to add? Any final thoughts here?
Yeah, yeah, or like 007 without the misogyny, and except for Jonathan. I say that because you reacted in a frustrating way.
What's wrong with misogyny?
I thought we were on the same page with that. Uh,
Well, the law of one blinks neither at the light or the dark, as I recall. Yeah.
yeah, man. No, I love this. The plant seeds for fourth density. I think we plant them within ourselves first. We are the water and the sunshine that raise the seeds. Clever and resourceful. I love that just because it's empowering. Like we have it says one of the slides, one of the more recent ones you posted about like, we have a great mind. We're given all of these abilities to turn disadvantages into advantages. Um, it's like Jay-Z said, when I was born, they said I wasn't going to be shit. Had to turn the opposite out this bitch. All right, I'll stop.
I am shit. Yeah, that's a
No, but yeah, it's very empowering, and I really love that because I think it's so true. Like we have infinite capabilities. I really believe that.
nice. And you are the first to quote Jay-Z on the Seattle Law One podcast. So well played, my friend. You
I've
done
been
good.
listening to the Black Album lately. I don't know why I'm back on this pop rap situation, but it's good. It's good. It's fun.
Yasi, anything to add? Any takeaway lessons of your own or final thoughts?
Uh, I'm just so grateful to have been here with you guys. Thank you, Jonathan, for setting this up and for continuing to put such a bright light out into the universe. Just, I'm just so grateful. I think that some of the biggest impact you could have could be such seemingly small things, just the idea of the smile, like going through your day smiling at people, or just those small little acts of kindness. Like you can have such a pebble effect. Like it'll just go outwards in these concentric circles, just that one small thing that you do. So you're more powerful than you think. And I think that we're all doing a pretty good job.
Mm.
So
Indeed. Love it. It's been a great discussion, and you guys are helping me put out premium content out there. So much appreciate it. Heather, anything to add?
I like what Yasi was saying. I think it's just those little things, right? We have to be the secret agent, right?
Mm.
Be the secret agent. Do the little things. It doesn't have to be out there. It doesn't have to be big. It doesn't have to be known. But if we, stay humble, keep spreading the light. So yeah.
For sure. Yeah, I think, and if we're playing Mort's game in real life, which I think we are, yeah, the more you do it in secret, the more points you get, the more karma points you get. So beautiful lesson. Well, thank you all again for bringing your love and your light and your wisdom here and your humor. It's been a wonderful discussion. I did want to let our viewers know that if you enjoyed this episode, you might want to check out our episodes on Wanderers and the Mission and Fourth Density and the Hero's Journey and Light Workers and Laughter and the Law of One. We go more in depth in those episodes into stuff that we touched on today. So check them out if you haven't seen them yet. Otherwise, it is time, of course, for the pop quiz. Pop quiz is something we just like to do at the end of our episodes to end our otherwise serious discussions on a somewhat lighter note and maybe look for Law of One connections in pop culture. So, since today's episode was on secret agents of love, it seems only fitting that we should have a pop quiz on spy movies.
Well,
There are obviously a million more spy movies than the one I put on the screen, but I put some of my favorites on here. Panelists, have you seen any or all of these movies? Any favorites here?
I like Skyfall a lot.
Hmm.
Skyfall
yeah,
was great.
Skyfall's good, right?
So good.
Yeah, I've seen the Melissa McCarthy one, I think, and I've seen a bunch of the mission. I did, yeah, I've seen Bourne Identity.
Nice.
I'm
I've seen
in
Black
Spy
Widow.
Kids. No, I'm just kidding.
Heather, seen any of these? All
I
of
I
them?
know I've seen Black Widow, Charlie's Angels. I think I've seen I think there's a couple Born Identities, right? I think I've only seen like one maybe, or one Mission Impossible. So not many,
Wow,
no.
nice. Well, could do a pop quiz on the obvious movies that everybody has seen for the most part, like Mission Impossible or Born Identity. But just for the fun, I thought it would be fun to ask about movies that are perhaps less known and call a little bit more attention to some underappreciated movies or directors or actors. So I'm going to ask you, panelists, three multiple choice questions. Go ahead, say your answers out loud so our viewers can hear you through space time. And you who are watching this on video at some time in the future, say your answers out loud so we can hear you through time space. As always, the points don't matter. If you had fun, you won. Are you ready for your first question, panelists?
Let's try it.
Yes.
First question. Christopher Nolan, who directed Tenet, also directed which of the following? A, Inception, B, Interstellar, C, Insomnia, or D, Infinity?
B, Interstellar.
B, Interstellar,
I'm gonna
and
go with B. Yeah,
A and
B.
B? I'm going with A and B.
Sounds
Yeah,
good.
he did do Inception, right?
Right?
Yeah.
I
Yep.
think so.
As you would know if you had been on the podcast before, Mort, or if you had watched the podcast, anything goes on the pop quiz. Could be any combination of the above, could be all of the above, could be none of the above, because I'm just a real asshole when it comes to pop quizzes. The correct answer is indeed A, B, and C.
Oh,
Inception and
Oh,
Interstellar, he is well known for having directed. Insomnia was a movie he directed a while ago with Al Pacino and Robin
Robin
Williams.
Williams. Yeah.
that's right. I didn't know that was Christopher
wow.
Nolan.
Yeah. Infinity, he did not direct. It's a movie that actually Matthew Broderick directed and starred in himself about the life of Richard Feynman, a great quantum physicist and well known among those who are up on quantum physics. I wanted this question for Tenet, though. Have you guys seen Tenet? Have you
No.
heard of Tenet?
I resisted that one because I heard it wasn't as good as his other ones. Did you see it and did you like it?
I've seen it, and it didn't get a lot of attention because he actually released it during the pandemic quarantine. I think it was actually the first major Hollywood movie that was actually released when everyone was quarantining
Oh,
at home.
wow.
So
Huh.
didn't get a lot of eyeballs in the theater, but it is available online and it is confusing. It's a movie that if you thought Inception and Interstellar were kind of like heady and confusing time travel trippy stuff, this one is even more so. You kind of have to see it a couple of times.
Have you guys seen Arrival?
I love that movie so much.
That's one of my favorites.
Yeah,
One of
Heather, you
my
got to
favorites.
see it. It's so gorgeous and
Oh my
so
God,
like
it is. I think
beautiful.
about that movie sometimes just during my day. It just comes in my head to like explain things or just be there.
Yeah, and especially speaks to like I don't know with the disclosures and whatever all this other
Yeah.
stuff. It's just a very fascinating view
Yeah,
and deep, poetic and very loving.
Yes.
it is
Agree.
Yeah,
profoundly beautiful. Amy Adams did such a great job in that.
Yeah,
yeah.
she did.
Yeah. This movie, interestingly enough, the guy who stars in it, and I'm kicking myself for not writing his name down. I think it's David Washington. He happens to be Denzel Washington's son, which I didn't even
Ah,
realize until very recently. But
Wow.
he does a great job in it. And it is a time travel movie. And if you notice, Tenet is the same word spelled forwards and backwards. And that is pretty much what the whole movie is about.
Oh,
It's about people going forwards and backwards in time and trying to prevent a world ending event from happening in the future by going back into the past. But there's constant movement back and forth, and the meaning of the movie it becomes more apparent. The meaning of the title Tenet becomes more apparent as you look at it.
mm,
But
hmm.
do highly recommend it. Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
that sounds good.
Second question. How about this one? Movie that I believe Mort said he saw. Paul Feig, who directed Spy, starring Melissa McCarthy, also directed which of the following? A. Bridesmaids, B. Ghostbusters, C. The Heat, or D. Charlie's Angels?
Bridesmaids?
Definitely Bridesmaids.
That's
What's
like,
the heat? I'm thinking of the
I don't
movie
know that
Heat.
one.
in my
Is
head.
that
Look,
the Al Pacino movie from a long time ago?
no,
No,
that's Heat.
that's
That's the
just
Michael
Heat.
Mann movie. Yeah,
There's no the.
that's not. Yeah, it's not Heated Rivalry. I know Bridesmaids, maybe Ghostbusters, maybe all these. Now I'm convinced that everyone is just going to be
All of them.
Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
If you're feeling paranoid, yes, that is one
Oh
of them.
no,
Yeah,
that's not
yeah.
what fun games are supposed to do, Jonathan.
I feed on vibrations of paranoia.
You're the space pirate.
Yeah. I am a
Totally.
space pirate. Arr.
Do it.
The correct answer is A, B, and C. Yeah.
Oh,
The
Oh,
Ghostbusters
wow.
was the remake of Ghostbusters with a female cast,
Which
including.
was better than people said it was.
Really?
Yeah, it's
I
not
have to
bad.
watch that.
People
Okay.
just got mad because it doesn't have Bill Murray in it. You know what I mean? It's not bad.
Yeah.
There was a little bit of misogyny in there, I think. Yeah,
Yep.
because I thought it was good.
Yeah.
And the Heat was with Melissa McCarthy and Sandra Bullock, I think, in a cop
Right.
movie. Yeah.
I love her. Love her.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He's a great director. I really like all the movies that he did. Really, really funny. And Spy is just a hilarious,
It is.
one of the best comedies I've seen, period. Just a great spoof on the spy genre.
Yeah.
Charlie's Angels was not directed by Paul Feig. It was, in fact, directed by Elizabeth Banks, which brings
Oh,
us to our next question.
Oh, interesting.
Elizabeth Banks, who directed Charlie's Angels, also directed which of the following? A. Cocaine Bear, B. The 40-Year-Old Virgin, C. Pitch Perfect 2, or D. The Hunger Games?
for sure, Cocaine Bear.
Really?
Yep.
That's crazy. I was gonna say Pitch Perfect too, because I can't imagine she did Cocaine Bear.
I mean, maybe she did Pitch Perfect 2 also, but which I didn't see, which feels like a huge sin. Like, I don't know. What a hilarious
The
a
first
movie
one
that
was
is just
so
the
good.
title is exactly the thing, and the thing is that the bear did cocaine. That's so funny.
It
And
is
based on a true
basically
story.
sharks or snakes on a plane. It is kind of like another
But
version
Yeah.
of that.
Cocaine Bear
But
is based
the
on a
title
true
tells you
story.
pretty much everything you need to know about
Yeah, Sharknado.
it. Yeah. Correct answer is A and C. She did direct Cocaine Bear
oh,
and Pitch Perfect 2. She acted in The 40-Year-Old Virgin, had a great role on that, which was a hilarious Judd Apatow movie. And
Yeah.
she did act in The Hunger Games too. She's,
Also,
Oh,
this is a
that's right. I
different
forgot
because there was also the Cameron Diaz Charlie's Angels.
right.
So this is
Right.
like
This
a
is a different one. Yeah, with the
yeah, okay.
people that you see on the screen, including Kristen Stewart. It was a great movie. I really, really liked it. And it
Hmm.
was really great. She did a great job of making, the equivalent of a buddy movie, except it's females instead of males. And it was very female empowering, which I appreciated. I thought she did a great job with it.
Nice.
How about one more? Your last question. Robert Rodriguez, who directed Spy Kids 1 through 4, also directed which of the following? A. Machete, B. From Dusk Till Dawn, C. Desperado, or D. The Faculty?
Oh, wow.
I'm gonna say B and C.
Really? I liked that movie from Dusk Till Dawn. It was like a long time ago, right?
Yeah, and then maybe A and D.
I have no idea and I'm anxious, so I'm picking all of them.
yeah. I have no idea either, so I'm gonna go with y'all, all of them.
Machete.
Nice. You got it. Yes, indeed. All four of those.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Nice.
I have not seen Machete. I have seen From Dusk Till Dawn. Desperado is a great
Oh
movie.
yeah, Desperado was really good too.
That was with Antonio Banderas and
Yeah.
Selma Hayek, I believe. And The Faculty, I have not seen, but it's a horror movie set in high school. It's got Elijah Wood in it from the Lord of the Rings, as well as a lot of interesting actors. Jon Stewart from The Daily Show
Huh.
is in there.
Really?
Robert Patrick, the guy who played the liquid metal Terminator in the second movie, is in
Sure.
there. It's about a high school where apparently the teachers are literally from outer space. They are aliens and they are like killing the kids one at a time.
Oh,
So,
interesting.
yeah.
Jon
Have you seen that?
Stewart.
Mort, sounds like you've got a pretty good pop culture movie resume.
Yeah,
Have you
no, I
seen?
haven't. But see, you describing it is why I think we need more movies like Arrival, because all the movies are about how the aliens are evil, but they should
That's
be
so
about how they're kind of like nice.
agreed. Did you guys
So true.
watch Pluribus, the show Pluribus?
No, but people
No,
are talking about it.
Well, I
I've
feel
heard
like
it's
it's
good.
especially significant for our Law of One group because it plays with some of those themes.
Right.
Yeah,
And
I highly suggest it.
okay, so you watched it, Yasi?
Yeah, yeah.
And it kind of doesn't say whether or not it's like ultimately good or bad. Sort of, that's sort of it's kind of dancing
I
around that.
mean,
Or
yeah, I'm not gonna ruin anything for you, but I suffice it to say I'm with you. Like so often these movies and shows don't concentrate on the possible, like I guess that's just boring. If it's all like utopian and good, no one's gonna watch it. So
it doesn't have to be that. Like I think it just takes more artistry to get.
yeah,
It's like easier to be compelling when it's fear inspiring. You know.
that's true. I think
And
that's
I
true
think
of
it's
life.
safe to say the entities who are in charge of that entertainment industry are the same as the ones in the rest of the
I
political
don't. I
social
yeah. I don't
arena. They
agree. I
don't
don't.
want people feeling empowered. They don't want people to feel hopeful. They really want to keep us in a state of perpetual fear.
But I think it's also that we're very compelled by fear.
That's true.
Yeah.
It's true. I think it's true. It's fascinating.
But not this time.
No.
Panelists, thank you so much. It's been such a joy. Really looking forward to doing this again with you sometime. Panelists, thank you for all you've done and continue to do in service to others. To all our friends at L&L Research, thank you for all you've done and continue to do in service to others. To you who are watching this on video at some time in the near or maybe very distant future, thank you for all you've done and continue to do in service to others. We are sending you our love light and we are receiving yours. Until next time, in the love and light of the one infinite creator, Adonai. Namaste.